Prepare yourself for twice the action. Double the TNA.
I'm much better today than I was yesterday when I was on my deathbed. And I was on my deathbed. And then we watched TNA, which certainly did not help matters. I could have, in fact, died while watching the first 2-hour episode of Impact, which would have been a fitting and poetic end to my life, but I survived. Because I just have this feeling that I was not meant to go during Impact. I don't want to talk about this show. Well, let's be honest here. This is not the worst Impact of all time.
Impact, the first 2-hour episode of Impact was better than SmackDown and ECW in the week it ran.
Yeah?
Without question.
Well, I don't know if I can say that.
I can.
Now, I don't know. Maybe the second hour by far was the best hour on TV all week, without question. The second hour was the best hour of TV in a long time, actually, now that I think about it. The first hour was the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen in my whole life.
I will say...
And averaging those together, you get a... I don't know what you get.
Yes, thumbs in the middle, I guess. I will say that for the 2 hours of Impact, I took 6 pages of notes.
God.
For SmackDown and ECW and Ultimate Fighter, I took a combined 6 pages of notes.
I know everybody's waiting for this with bated breath to hear us talk about this show, and...
I think they're going to be disappointed. I don't feel a fiery rant coming on.
Oh, I do.
If it happens, I'll just back up and stay out of your way. There was a lot of bullshit on the show. There was a whole lot of stupidity in the show. Don't get me wrong. I did have a lot of tequila, as it turns out.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the second hour.
Start in the middle of the show.
Yeah, and then I'm going to backtrack.
Okay. Now, explain to me what you're starting with. I'm going to see if I can find it in my notes. I think I have my notes in the right order, but I'm not sure because there's 6 pages of them.
Let's start with Ron Killings and Pac-Man versus Team 3D.
Okay, here we go. Yes.
For the tag titles. All right. Pac-Man's not allowed to wrestle. So they did a match that involved him getting in the ring, doing some shit with the football, low-bridging guys, and then tagging out. They really did the most they could possibly do with this guy. I don't know if anybody cares. Actually, I do know.
No, nobody cares. Yeah.
It's not even a question. But they did the best that they could with him, so I got to give him credit for that, for a poor situation. So there was a chair shot, which was legal. And then Pac-Man got the hot tag, grabbed a chair, the ref stopped him. Then out came Kip and BG to attack Killings. Pac-Man chased him to the back, and somewhere here the bell rang. Why? I don't fucking know! A chair was legal, but apparently whatever they did that was illegal.
I don't know.
God, I just started and I'm pissed off. This was good!
This was part of the good stuff, yes. TNA apparently is marketing a Pac-Man Jones t-shirt. I suspect this will be, as far as wrestling t-shirts go, about as popular as an Invader 1 t-shirt. It's out there. You can get it.
The bad guys lay out Killings, and then who should make the save but the returning Steiners, and Team 3D ran for the hills.
Yay. Next.
You have no other comments and 6 pages of notes about that entire match?
What sick fuck would buy a Pac-Man Jones t-shirt? They did comedy with a football, which you found far more impressive than I did. I thought it was just stupid, and it would be better to have him to stand on the apron the entire time.
No.
I guess they were saying Pac-Man would wrestle. They had to do something, but
yes,
it was not good.
Press interviewed Raven, who basically said he was old and washed up and hung on too long.
And fat.
And out of shape. When I get back in shape, he said. He wanted Rhino and Abyss.
Actually, it's even better. When I want to get back in shape.
Oh.
Right now, he's not even trying.
When I want to get back in shape.
He also mentioned the great legendary wrestler Funk and how they wrestled at Barely Legal. Okay, he never said Terry Funk. You and I know it's Terry Funk. God bless Terry Funk as 2007. Barely Legal was 10 years ago. There are people watching Impact.
It's 1997 in TNA, Vince.
There are people watching Impact who were not born when Barely Legal happened.
It's 1997 still in TNA.
I need to point out how stupid this is still.
This is retarded.
Using funk to try to make you sound impressive as a wrestler in 2007 is in fact stupid.
Yeah, then we had then Abyss came up and grabbed him and
Raven said he wanted to wrestle Rhino and he wanted to wrestle Abyss.
Yeah.
Abyss showed up.
Yeah.
He said he wanted to wrestle Raven.
Yeah.
And he said bring Black Rain too.
Yeah. Well, Abyss wants Black Rain.
So Abyss wants Black Rain.
So they're going to have a Monsters Ball match at the pay-per-view. And apparently Raven will be in shape then.
I can't wait.
I wish he would have put in the line about he overshot his target.
That would have been perfect. He should have said, I have overshot my target. Ah, damn it. Missed opportunity.
So then we got in, I quote, a fight for the right preview gauntlet match.
Yes! A fight for the right preview gauntlet match. And keep in mind, folks, this is the good hour.
It is a Royal Rumble to preview a reverse battle royal.
That is also correct. Which, I have written both of these down in all caps.
A 1-minute interval. Started out with James Storm and Kaz, and because it's a Vince Russo Royal Rumble, that means one of these two men was going to be at the very end, that being James Storm. Bunch of other guys came in, did some shit. Jimmy Rave had to make sure he did his tornado arm bar in a match with no submissions. Had to get all his shit in. Motor City Machine Guns were by far the highlight. Everybody loved them. Chris Harris came in, and it eventually came down to... I guess Kaz, Rude, Storm, and Eric Young. And then it came down to Eric Young and James Storm. And Eric Young, who was a comedy figure, who was doing headlocks for comedy in the middle of the Battle Royal, won. He pinned James Storm, got the win. And what did he get for this? Why, nothing. There was nothing on the line here. It was just a way to get 10 guys on television. Yeah. Match was fine. I got to give the match itself a thumbs up. It was a fun little Royal Rumble type deal, but I don't understand the point of it.
The heat for this show, as bad as the show was, the heat for it was awesome all night long, and it was awesome in this Battle Royal, which was just a bunch of guys doing moves, and then suddenly Jimmy Rave came out. The heat was no longer good. He is a heat sink. It's really amazing to watch how he can just kill any crowd just by his mere presence. It's impressive. So the Motor City Machine Guns came out. They were, of course, awesome. And they were, of course, eliminated by Lance Hoyt, who was then immediately dumped by himself, or dumped himself. So that annoyed me. And then the finish came along. They did the Bret Hart, Steve Austin finish. The only flaw in this plan is they are not Bret Hart and Steve Austin.
And this being the Survivor Series, Bret Hart, Steve Austin.
Yes, not the WrestleMania one.
Not WrestleMania.
So
basically, for those of you that don't have any idea what Vince is talking about, since, like TNA's angles, this was 10 years ago. It's,
point. Fair enough.
One guy going for a sleeper or whatever, and the other guy runs his feet up the buckles, pushes off, falls on the guy, and then bridges back and pins him. I realize I did no good explaining this to you guys that didn't know what it was, but then we had a absurd pre-tape with AJ, Tomko, and Christian, where Tomko was going to Japan. He had a tag title defense, you see, and he was going to take AJ with him. And Christian said, no, he can't go. And the absurdity of this was Tomko was talking about how he was going to take AJ to Japan like they were on a lunch break and were going across the street to the store.
We're going to White Castle.
It was so nonchalant. I'm taking him to Japan with me. And then when Christian goes, no, he's not going to Japan, Tomko's like, okay, and walked off, and AJ went with Christian.
Yes.
Apparently, I don't know if there was...
Maybe there's a shuttle from Orlando to Tokyo.
He's going to Japan with me. No, he's not. Okay. That was the segment.
I don't know. I don't get it. All I know is they hyped this up like it was a big deal. Like there's new developments in the Christian coalition. The new development appears to be that now AJ and Tomko are buds, and Christian's kind of a dick, but Tom doesn't care about AJ that much, and he's going to Japan either way.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, folks, this was a good hour.
Yeah. There was Angle idiocy to football game. We'll get into that later.
There's an Ultimate X promo.
Yeah, where Saban said mentally you just got to be a little not there.
He did say that.
That's funny.
True. He showed a bunch of X Division guys talking about Ultimate X and how dangerous it was and what it took to win and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, we still have no reason why LAX and Triple X are going to wrestle in an Ultimate X match on the pay-per-view.
There's no reason.
The reason is they both have X in their names, apparently.
And
that is a poor reason.
And they want an Ultimate X match. That's the entire reason.
God!
Then we had LAX, Junior Fatu, Samoa Joe against Christian, AJ, and Triple X. Initially, I had no idea what side Triple X was on because I didn't know if they were babyface or heels. Anyway, to make a long story short, they had an awesome match.
Yes.
This match was great. So they did all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Joe ended up pinning Senshi with the Muscle Buster. This totally saved the show for me. Big thumbs up. And then, of course, they went to the end of the show with Angle and Sting at the football game, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. So that was the second hour. Yeah, as much absurdity as there was, and as much as we complain, that was a thumbs-up hour of television.
Yes,
no problem.
And a definite thumbs-up main event. That was, as you noted, an awesome match. There was a million great things about it, but the other highlight I have to point out is Hernandez hit his over-the-ropes dive, and he did it onto AJ Styles.
One man.
One small man.
Yeah.
He cast his flying behemoth, but he did a great job, and everyone's alive. So, yes, this was awesome. A big thumbs up to everyone involved. The only thing I'm going to note here, and it really didn't detract from the match at all, but I have it in my notes here. I want to say it before I forget. Don West, all night long, was heavy breathing into the microphone. Every time he spoke, he went to inhale. You could hear it, like he was out of breath, and it got very annoying. So I just want to mention that now before I forget.
I did not notice that.
I notice it constantly.
Oh. It's the little things.
It is little things.
Well, stop listening to that shit then. There's far more to be annoyed about than Don West breathing.
Certainly true.
So anyway, that was the good hour. That was the good hour.
That was the best hour of the week.
Before we get into the second hour.
This is the first hour.
Can I get
second
your
hour we're
email
talk
address?
about
Maybe we can email each other.
God, you're a geek. Let's play a song or something like that. Here's one we haven't played in a while.
Kind of stroked a little bit.
That was a great feeling. Brent, you are another faggot son of a bitch.
This is a classic. Wow.
I'm a shooter, man.
Come on, I just want you to pet it.
And I didn't do it because for God and Jesus.
Go like this. Come on.
Stupid Steve, put him in the camel clutch, break his back, and then fuck his ass, make him humble, clean the smack out of him.
Why? You're the only one that used it except Brent.
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
Give him a kiss.
I'll break your back and I do what country pay.
Such a dick. Sorry.
Besides that, everything was great.
The road will own you.
I gotta find that original Iron Sheik deal one of these days and just play the whole thing.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Vince.
You asked me excellent question.
We're going to play that at the end of the show today. I'm going to find it on YouTube. The original classic. The one that brought Iron Sheik back to the forefront of professional wrestling.
Where he belongs.
We're going to play that at the end of today's show. All right. The first hour of this wretched program. This hour's so bad, I never want to watch TNA again. First off, we had a video package.
Oh, yes, we did.
What did you call this?
I call this the most pretentious thing I've ever seen.
They tried to act like... I don't know what they tried to act like.
Okay, the point of this video package was, we've gone to 2 hours, yay. Number one, why is this really worth celebrating? Your show is longer. Great.
No, that's the point. They feel that this 2 hours is the holy grail.
And they tried to convince us that it was. They noted they started from humble beginnings, and this is a direct quote, "We celebrated the smallest accomplishments." Which is true. I can't deny that. They did. So this then moved on to, they described the move to 2 hours as, and this is another direct quote, "the nexus of humanity." I don't know what that means, but I know it's not 2 hours of impact. That I guarantee you. So they showed us with all the usual
Unless
hype.
Nexus means Bane.
I don't think it does. But they did all the usual hype videos and shots of guys looking cool and giant flip dives off his stuff and guys falling down and flipping through the air. And through it all, this should not surprise anyone, but the very first face you saw was that of Jeffrey Jarrett. Who was not even on the show.
And then who was the first wrestler that came down the aisle at the beginning of the 2-hour debut?
Why, I believe it was Black Rain.
Black Rain!
Black Rain, he came out after this giant video about how they're the nexus of humanity, when in fact they are on at the same they start at the same time, they're on the same network, they're in the same fucking building, they have the same low-rent getup, they have the same cheap-ass ghetto set. Out comes Black Rain in his Halloween costume. In a few weeks, I'm going to have trick-or-treaters with better getups than Black Rain.
I'm going to try and define Nexus.
He came out. It was Black Rain and Rhino.
Connection or interconnection?
2 hours of impact is the connection of humanity.
The interconnection of humanity?
2 hours of impact is apparently what brings the entire human race together. Pretentious! Pompous this was.
I don't even know what that means. What just idiocy. All right. So then they had a match. This segment, okay? This segment should be put in a time capsule so that we can look back one day when wrestling is dead and not have to ask why. This segment was so wretched. Rhino and Black Rain have a match. Raven comes out.
Yes.
Why? Who knows? Raven comes out. Something happens. Rhino rolls up Rain for the pin. Rhino uses a cradle. So then the bad guys double team Rhino, and then Abyss comes out to make the save. Walking down the ramp, I might add. So the good guys clear the ring, but then Jim Mitchell runs out, which, why would Jim Mitchell run out when the good guys have cleared the ring? I don't know. But he gets caught, and he's so scared that he leaps high in the air and takes a flat back bump.
This was hysterical. Yes. Abyss turned around and spotted him. After Mitchell raised... I gotta go back. Mitchell raised his team to swing at Abyss. And he waited. And he waited. And he tiptoed forward a little bit. And he waited. And then Abyss turned around. And this caught Mitchell so off guard that, as you noted, he jumped as high as you could. And I gotta give him credit. I didn't think he could jump that high. But he got up there, the weapon went flying, and he landed flat in his back in the middle of the ring.
Yes.
Silent movie bump.
Then Havoc hit the ring. Who? Why? Who knows? Rhino killed him. Or Abyss killed him.
6 men at this point.
Somebody killed him. I wrote Rhino killed him, but whoever killed him with a black hole slam, which would indicate Abyss.
Sure.
I'm just looking at things that would make sense, unfortunately. So then Rain hit Abyss with his gimmick.
Actually, it's even better than that. Rain positioned Abyss to be hit with his gimmick. He sat Abyss down. He raised the gimmick.
No. He hit him with the wood part and then went to hit him with the metal part.
I see.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So then the lights went out and Sting appeared in the ring. And somehow when Sting appeared, Rhino or Abyss or whoever had vanished.
Abyss had vanished.
Yes. Rhino had also vanished.
Gone.
We don't know where he went. So the 300-pound monster vanished. Sting appeared in the ring and beat Black Rain into the crowd, and then, Abyss beat Black Rain into the crowd, and then Sting was still in the ring, and then Angle appeared on the big screen, said he had just showed up at Sting's son's football game, and he was going to tell us more after the break. So yes, they went to a break and came back, and the segment was still continuing. Kirk said he couldn't beat Impact because he had family business to take care of, that being Sting's family. He said he was at the kid's soccer game, and something about Sting's son was going to grow up and hit other people's wives or whatever.
So, yes, it's been like a month. Kurt still thinks Sting slapped his wife.
Yeah, he still does not watch the replay. So Sting says, if you lay hand on my kid, I'll kill you. And Kurt goes, kill me?
Yes, Kurt could hear Sting.
How? He didn't have an earpiece in.
No.
He didn't have a monitor.
He didn't have a telephone.
He just somehow could hear Sting.
Yes.
So then they finally cut to the back.
To the back! As noted. Okay, so let's review. Black Rain, Rhino, Raven, Abyss, Jim Mitchell, Havoc, whoever the fuck that is, Sting, and Kurt Angle. 7 men! 7 men in this spot. Why?
I'd also like to add that somebody pointed out that this high school football game started at about 9:10 p.m.
Yes.
And it was still sunny out.
Yes.
And it ended at 9:50 p.m. and it was still sunny out. And that's like 90 minutes. Is that the normal length for a high school football game?
Maybe, and it was also on the West Coast. So in theory, assuming Kurt had a live camera crew at his high school football game where he was walking the stands and stuff out in California, that part it may be explainable. But my God,
How can it be explainable that a live camera it would still be light out at 11 o'clock p.m. on the West Coast?
No, it wouldn't be 11 on the West Coast. If it was 9 on the East Coast, it would be 6 on the West Coast. In California, would it still be light out at like 7 p.m. in October?
9. It would be 11.
No.
The show it goes 9 to 11.
On the East Coast?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So take 3 hours away.
Okay.
What time is that?
6.
11 minus 3 is 6.
No, sorry, 11 minus 3 is 8. So
Okay,
it's 6
it's
8 on the
not
West
light
Coast.
at 8 o'clock.
Okay. There you go.
This whole thing
it's
fails.
settled. Yes. Thumbs down!
God, this was stupid. And we went to the back, and
Jay Lethal and Sanjay were there. Jay Lethal was wearing the X Division belt. And I asked, why is the X Division belt in the scene? And then I remembered, oh yes, that's right. Jay Lethal's the X Division champion.
yes,
Important to know that.
Lethal, Sanjay did some stupid stuff. Team 3D ran in and beat him up.
It did Ebola jokes.
This was exactly like a normal Impact segment, except it was a longer beating because they now have 2 hours. So they dragged him down to the ring, and crowd chanted, "We want tables," because Team 3D are such great heels. Then Shark Boy ran down to make the save. Bubba begged off from Shark Boy. Devon attacked him. It was now 2-on-3. Baby faces were outnumbering the heels. So the crowd, of course, is cheering Bubba and Devon because this whole thing is absurdly booked. And so Bubba tries to get heat back by yelling at the people, which is cheap heat because the psychology is fucked up. So they beat up these guys, and then they said, Team Pac-Man better put the belts on the line tonight, or we're going to kill all the teams. And I just thought, why the fuck would Team Pac-Man give a rat's ass that you're going to kill all the other teams?
Do them a favor.
Yeah, you should be. That's helping Team Pac-Man. Well, how is this going to compel them to put the belts on the line? This segment, failure.
All I know is that, as you mentioned, it was two heels running wild on 3 baby faces, making them look like total goofs. One of whom was Jay Lethal, one of whom was the X Division champion, and he's also the man who pinned Kurt Angle clean like 3 weeks ago.
This show is...
What a fucking disaster that turned out to be. I'm sure Kurt was thrilled about this.
Generic blonde chick number 2 interviewed Sting, who went in the production truck and screamed at Keith to get a satellite hookup to talk to Angle. Apparently Sting tried to have him arrested. Angle signed some autographs for the cops, and they went on their merry way.
This was not shown. We were told.
Yeah, Sting was mad. Then we had just a segment without any value. In fact, it should never have made TV. Robert Roode and Tracy doing an interview with generic blonde chick number 2. It was below Jerry Springer level.
It's my understanding that you actually called this interview to get a few things straightened out, TNA, and actually I have some questions for you as well. First of all,
you're going to shut up, okay? You know how long it's taken me to get this interview time? Sit there and shut up. Okay? Robert Roode is a brand. Robert Roode Incorporated is a multi-million-dollar business. So that's why I went out and I've hired a marketing firm. That's why I went out and hired a PR firm. Everybody wants to know where Robert Roode got his money from. Well, I'm going to tell you, okay? One time, and one time only for the world, okay?
Okay.
My grandfather, God rest his soul, left me a lot of money.
How much money?
More than you'll ever see, okay? Things are going to change at TNA. I'm sick of the same old people, guys like Sting, guys like Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and guys that don't even belong in the same ring as Robert Roode, guys like Kaz. So you know what? It's time for a change around here. And Robert, what are you looking at? What's your problem?
What's my problem?
What's your problem?
Bobby, you know what my
whoa,
problem
whoa, whoa, whoa. What's my name?
Robert.
Yes. What is your problem?
Robert, you and I, where are we?
Where are we? Well, what do you mean, where are we? We're the same spot we were a year ago when I hired you. I'm here, you're here. I'm the boss, you're the employee.
That's not how this started.
Oh, that's not how it started. Okay. I know you're being with Kaz. You know, stupid. You work for me, and you do what you're told. You understand? You want to leave, quit. Quit the job. I don't need you.
I don't want to. You know I can't quit. You know I need this job. You know my mother's really sick,
Oh,
Robert.
your mother. Right, yeah, your mother. So you don't want to quit? You want the job?
Yes.
You want the job?
Yes.
Well then, act accordingly. Do your job. You haven't done a damn thing for me in the last 12 months. You know what? This women's gauntlet of Bound for Glory, you're in it. You're one of the 10 women. This knockout Bound for Glory. You know what? You better win, because losers are not accepted in Robert Roode Incorporated. Do you understand? You better win. You better do something right for once in your life. You know what? This interview's over. It's done.
Robert,
It's done.
Robert, let's not leave the interview like this.
It's done.
Come
It's
on.
over. It's done.
What are you doing here?
Excuse me, who are you?
Me? I'm Letitia Klein. I'm the backstage interviewer for
Security.
I just went off to go pose for Playboy, and I come back and you're sitting in my chair? You need to get up.
You snooze, you lose. This is you?
Yeah, that's
you?
me.
Oh, well, it's too bad they couldn't use a better picture.
You think that's funny?
Security.
You get on my chair. You're about to find out right now who I am.
Security, you need this girl to get out of here right now. I don't know who she is.
It was Tracy going, Robert, you and I, where are we? And
Yes, where are we?
Him yelling at her and saying if she lost the gauntlet match, she might be fired. She said, I can't be fired. My mom is sick. And when this whole abysmal thing ended, who walked up? Letitia, the other blonde interview chick. She was mad at the first blonde chick, so they got into a lame argument and an even lamer shoving match. Why did this make air?
I don't know.
Who in the world could care about the two interview chicks getting in a fight? Name a single fucking person aside from the blonde interview chick and Letitia that could possibly fucking care.
You're actually turning red.
I can't breathe.
This was awful. This was horrible. As you noted, the classic line, Robert, where are we? As he's sitting there trying to have this conversation to you know, his character in theory is trying to, I don't know, hype up a match or lay out what his goal is.
I don't even know.
I don't know what the fuck he was trying to do.
I don't know.
But regardless, the character of Tracy Brooks tried to interrupt and ask, where are we?
Where are we, Robert?
God. So, yes, someone, they said, they finally explained why he was rich. Somebody died and he inherited the money. Woo!
Yeah.
I don't care.
After all this time, it's been revealed.
So that added exactly nothing. Meanwhile, I guess Tracy is supposed to be a romantic interest with Robert. This is every angle in the world at once. The only part of this that was any good, even for a second at all, it did amuse me when Robert said he was sick of seeing guys like Sting and Samoa Joe and Kaz. Yes. Frankie Kazarian is on par with Sting and Samoa Joe now.
Well, you know how it is.
I understand he's the guy that Robert Roode is feuding with, but still, this could have been done better. So this sucked.
Well, it's better than Tommy Dreamer going, I broke my back, I broke my neck, I met my wife.
Yes. One of these things should not belong with the others.
Gail Kim and Jackie Moore, a singles match. Let's see who was out there for the singles match. In this segment, we had Gail Kim, Jackie Moore, James Storm, Christy Hemme, Lance Hoyt, Jimmy Rave, Billy Gunn, Voodoo Chick, and Road Dogg, all in the same fucking segment.
And as this was going on, Don West proclaimed, Impact is 2 hours every week. Get used to it. Literally like we were being punished.
So, Gail won clean with a neck breaker, which is called the happy ending.
What Don West said.
You know, because she's Asian.
And this didn't even occur to me. The wacky women's gauntlet last week, I didn't notice this, but Christy Hemme's finisher is apparently the fire crotch leg drop.
I noticed that. I just thought it was idiocy. This is even worse, though.
This is sexist and racist.
This was just so bad.
Happy ending.
So, then the girls got in the
to
brawl,
the back.
and the guys jumped in, and then it was to the back.
Then to the back.
Jim Cornette's in his office.
This was a low point of his career.
Rash wanted to know if he was going to change the tag title match, or the tag match, to a tag title match, if he was going to put the belts in the line. And Cornette said he was so fucking sick of Team 3D's bitching that yes, it was now a title match.
He was going to reward them for their constant whining and bitching.
You bitches were crying about me saying there needs to be discipline on Ultimate Fighter. This is what happens when you don't have that discipline. Shit like this. This was so stupid. Sting stormed in. He needed answers. They cut back to another Kurt Angle thing. Kurt said, Larry, the guy you sent for me. That's what he said. Will be walking with a limp for the rest of his life.
Once again, this is actually worse than you were making it sound. Because Sting walked in. First of all, if I was Team 3D, the first thing I'd do is start crying and screaming for a raise. Because apparently Cornette would give it to you. So Sting runs in. Sting grabs Cornette by the lapels. He's screaming. Cornette's yelling back at him. And then Cornette says, look! And there's a monitor on his desk. And everyone stops and moves in to look at the monitor. This was so ghetto. This was so hokey. This was such horrible television. But that's what we had to deal with. So then Angle began to discuss Larry.
Larry.
I hope he means either Larry from Perfect Strangers or Larry from Three's Company. Brian's been struck dumb. He has nothing left to add.
Christ, call me home. So that was the first hour of this show.
That's the end of our show.
It sucked.
It got better after that, but Jesus Christ.
And the whole ending of the show was Kurt chased Sting's son to the car, explained something about how he wanted Sting to have fire for their match, and this was the only way he could get that fire back. And then I guess he choked the kid out as they went to black. It was actually, of all the Angle segments on the show, it was the only one that was any good whatsoever. Every single other one sucked.
So thumbs down for Impact.
And the biggest, this was really the best show you saw all week, in hindsight.
Only due to the main event.
The big question on the show is, what did it accomplish, my children? What did it accomplish? It got the same 1-1 rating they all get. It sold no buys.
That I guarantee you is true.
And, in fact, the whole idea, as mentioned today on Figure 4 Weekly, not daily or whatever, is you always want to leave the people wanting more. And you want to leave them wanting more enough to pay for more. Who could watch this show and say, what I want is more? Every single wrestler, every single person under contract in TNA was on this show. Every single one, I guess with the exception of Kevin Nash, every single person under contract was on this show. Who could want more? They gave every possible thing in this 2 hours. At no point was there anything on this show where you said, boy, I can't wait for that. Boy, I'd pay for that. So, what did it accomplish?
It wasted more of our lives, Brian. It put us closer to the grave.
If you were Dixie Carter, make something up. What did this show accomplish?
It was 2 hours.
But what?
Dude. I know that. You're preaching to the choir.
But
that was how I let off this show.
But, can we make something up? Try to imagine what a person could say that had booked this show that is a positive about it. That we got everybody on the show?
That must be it. That's even dumber, by the way. That is a lesser accomplishment than actually producing a 2-hour television show.
I will pay for an interview with Dixie Carter. Which is apparently, I don't know. That's not how journalism works, I guess. I don't give a fuck. I will pay for an interview for her to explain to me what was accomplished on this show. What?
There's nothing, Brian. There is nothing.
You did nothing to sell any pay-per-views, and you got the same goddamn rating you always get. What did you accomplish? Jack shit.
You got 0 ad revenue, as always.
0 ad revenue.
No human being on Earth who may have possibly been on the fence of buying the pay-per-view would have changed their mind after seeing this.
None. I just don't get it. It baffles me.
It's still...
To the back! Might as well talk about Impact now, since we'll talk about the pay-per-view on Sunday. And I want to talk about the pay-per-view and then go backwards to Impact. But what an irony that the show opened up with Angle showing up in a football jersey. Football!
Indeed.
Why a man of his capacities and capabilities would put on a football jersey? That's absurd. Jay Lethal and Havoc, dueling chants for some inexplicable reason.
People were chanting for Havoc.
Yeah. Daniels came out to watch, and here's why I hate TNA. Here's another good example. Daniels comes out to watch, and Mike Tenay goes, "What's the story with Daniels?" And I thought, okay, if even I know that Chris Daniels is facing Jay Lethal at the pay-per-view, I should punch you, Mike Tenay. Why do you have to make this more difficult than it actually is? This is the one fucking thing on the entire show that made sense, that Daniels was out there scouting his opponent, and Mike Tenay had no idea why. So, Havoc was taking flip bumps for Lethal, who outweighs him. Actually, Havoc outweighs him by 75 pounds. He's still taking flip bumps for him. They did a botched move, and then Havoc kicked out at 3 after the flying elbow. That was a good one.
I also like Havoc hit basically a suplex, then he turned Lethal in midair and dropped it into a stunner. And Donald West screams, "Great counter by Jay Lethal!" And Lethal just lays there, and Havoc is up walking around. Everyone's confused.
The story of this match was so completely ridiculous. And we had a 2-minute match, by the way. 2 minutes. Thank God we got 2 hours here on this show. Karen showed up. She was having problems with Kurt. What a shocker. People are mad at each other on Impact. Angle came out with the belt and the jersey. No IWGP title. I have no idea what happened to it. So the reason he did what he did to Sting's son was because Sting had hit his wife, number 1. And number 2, he wanted to face the old Sting at Bound for Glory. He wanted no excuses. Blah, blah, blah. Called out Sting. Karen came out instead. She explained that how dare Kurt go after Sting's children? What if Sting had gone after their children? She said Kurt went too far. He crossed the line. He said, "I determine when I cross the line." They argued back and forth. She said something about how she'd said something about a slap or some such bullshit. I have no idea.
Actually, I do. It's going to make you angry.
Okay.
All right. Karen says, "I never should have gone along with your plan to say he slapped me." And Kurt said, No, shut up. He did slap you. So here's what this means. Kurt Angle set a trap for Sting.
I don't even want to think about this, so just tell everybody else.
Kurt Angle, months and months and months back, went out of his way to win the tag team titles, I think from Joe. I think he won them from Joe in a singles match. Then he went out of his way to choose Sting to be his partner. In fact, I think Sting had to win it. Angle had to set up a match that Sting could win, so Sting could be his tag team partner. Then Angle decided he wanted to wrestle Sting. So he set up a plot. A plot wherein he would trap Sting into appearing to slap his wife. Then Angle would pretend that he didn't know it was... Angle would pretend he thought it actually happened. Then he would be angry with Sting. So angry that he would go to California to harass Sting.
You're missing a point. So angry that he would hit Sting with a move in a match, causing the two of them to lose their tag team titles.
I did forget that part. He went out of his way to hit Sting with a move in a match to lose the tag team titles that he had gone out of his way to win.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, this was all his plan.
Yeah.
It's all going the way he wanted. He then flew the way the fuck out to California to harass Sting, to harass his Sting's son. Why? Did he want revenge? No, because he knew Sting didn't really slap his wife. He just wanted a match with Sting. What?
It makes no sense.
He couldn't have walked up to Sting and said, I want to fight you. I'll put my belt on the line. And Sting would have said, okay. And they could have spent a month building up with promos with Angle saying, I've beaten Hunter, I've beaten Rock, I've beaten Austin. And you'd have Sting saying, I beat Hogan, I beat Savage. Now we're going to fight. And it would have been cool. Now I don't care. I don't care.
Vince Russo probably decided it makes no sense that Angle doesn't know that Sting hit his wife because he would have watched the replay. So we'll pretend that he does know. Which makes the entire rest of the storyline so much stupider than having us just believe that Angle didn't watch the replay.
Actually, yes.
I don't know. So anyway,
thumbs down, everybody.
Sting appeared on the big screen and said he was holding them both responsible. And then a Sting dummy fell from the ceiling, and Angle attacked it, and it was not really Sting. And I guess this was supposed to embarrass Kurt. I don't know what this was supposed to accomplish.
This was supposed to wear out his ankle-locking arm.
They wanted a dummy for some reason because it was cool in 1997. That's all I can figure. Plug the pay-per-view. Borash met with Nash, who we've now seen every single human being under contract on the last two shows. Nash went to talk to Sting in the rafters.
Now, we need to point this out here. When you say went to talk to Sting, Nash went to the bottom of the stairwell and called out, Hey, Sting! And Sting appeared.
Yes.
3 minutes before this, we had seen Kurt Angle demanding to know where Sting was. Hey, Kurt, he's up. He's up these stairs. Should also point out, while Sting and Kevin were having their friendly conversation on the stairs, it was silent. Apparently they cleared out all the fans for this talk.
Yes.
It's time for Sting and Nash to have a chat. Everyone please be quiet.
Nash told him not to be so crazy. Sting said, well, what would you have done if Angle would have went after your child? And Nash said, I'd kill him.
Actually, he said, what if you had gone after Tristan?
Yes.
So apparently we're supposed to know that Kevin Nash has a son named Tristan.
Yes.
Okay.
Nash said he would kill him. Sting said that's exactly how he wanted to go out. I guess as a killer.
Also, all we had seen, every time Sting's name had come up, we had seen Kevin Nash say, he made our lives hell for a year in the NWO. So you think, okay, Kevin Nash and Sting are enemies. That's fine. So then Nash calls out Sting. Sting says, hey, Kev. They meet halfway up the ramp.
Well, they're friends now. This was 97.
They are now friends. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on?
Which actually, they should still be enemies because it's still 1997 in TNA.
And then, deep in the unused portion of my brain that I would have liked to have left unused, there's this little nugget of info that says, weren't Sting and Kevin in something called the Wolfpack at one point? And I guess that's what they're building off of. So now they are friends. Russo watched a different episode of 97 Nitro this week.
Wow. Maybe he's got WWE 24/7. That would explain a lot, actually.
That actually would explain a lot.
They've had to... Oh, then we had Team Pac-Man vowing to beat up Triple X. Pac-Man is getting more comfortable behind the mic in his last week. Team Pac-Man versus Senshi and Alex Skipper. This was... Last week I was okay with the Pac-Man stuff because I thought it was creative. This week it was just stupid. He can't touch anybody. He spiked a football in Senshi's groin.
Legal.
Which was legal, yes. And not only did he use it for an object, but he low-blowed the guy with the object, which was legal.
Legal.
This was not a DQ. So then Killings tagged in and made his own comeback, and Pac-Man ended up throwing money into Skipper's face. He made it rain, and Killings hit the axe kick and got the pin. It was a completely offensive segment in every conceivable way. And then Pac-Man gave money to the fans because I guess he's a nice guy, and it was all $1 bills.
I didn't even notice that part.
Yes,
yes, there was a point here where Pac-Man came in to do a move illegally, and the referee held up his hands and said, whoa, 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 stop there. You are not the legal man. You return to your corner and you wait for a tag. And he did. Because if there's one thing Pac-Man Jones is known for, it's a healthy respect for authority.
Yeah.
This man does what he's told.
Well, that's the point.
Yes.
That's the point.
Oh, my God. And also, it's been like 3 months. Why are Triple X back together? We still don't know. They broke apart.
They just got put back together.
They just got put back together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Duh. So then out came the Steiners. Scott said he hated Team 3D, and he couldn't wait till Bound for Glory told him to bring their fat asses out right now. So they didn't come out. Steiner continued burying him, and then Don West screamed, "This Sunday's going to be awesome!" To the back! Said
to the back.
So they went to the back, and who was Borash interviewing? Yes! Team 3D, who had just been called out but didn't come out. They did their promo backstage instead. Then the Steiners came up and attacked them, and it was dumb.
Bubba Ray Dudley compared himself to Britney Spears here.
He did?
And when I did that, I mean, he said he was a drunk, fat alcoholic. I'm not exaggerating.
Actually, I think he said that about the Steiners. He said they were washed up and useless like Britney Spears.
I think he went on to talk about excess body fat and alcohol. But anyway.
I don't know.
So then the Steiners came up. The Steiners. Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner came up, and they wanted to kick somebody's ass. Who was there to prevent them from kicking said ass? Why, Chris Sabin and Alex, the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah.
Chris Sabin had 2 hands in Rick Steiner's chest and was stopping him.
Yeah.
By himself.
Tough man.
This was nonsense.
Shooter. Nash was ranting to Kurt and Karen backstage. Something about if Angle had done that to his kid, he'd want to kill him. Kurt said it was Nash's kid, or it wasn't Nash's kid, so he had nothing to worry about. He said the kid hit me first. Nash has Karen to talk some sense in him. This is so dumb.
I don't even know what happened.
Anyway, the point is Nash was like, I'm going to bounce. I can't take this anymore. And off he walked. And I was like, are we supposed to care? Has it been established at some point that Nash and Kurt are a great, strong unit, and that it's now a bad thing that Nash is going to bounce? Who cares?
All I wrote down here is Angles-Kevin. It says nothing else, and I have no memory.
No.
This segment apparently sucked.
So then we had the actual, legitimately the best segment on the show.
Yeah.
Gail Kim and Amazing Kong. I should note they also had to throw out all the other girls. Christy Emmy, Jackie Moore, ODB, Talia Madison, who is hot, and who I need to see more of. Angel Williams and Roxy Laveau. Gail is very small. Amazing Kong is very big. They said 6'1" and 280. She manhandled Gail, completely destroyed her, and powerbombed her to the pin. All the other girls were terrified.
Yes.
And this was so great.
See, when you say, I don't know why the other girls were out there, they were out there to be afraid of Amazing Kong.
That's fine.
Yeah, I was totally cool with most of this. This is a horrible debut for women like ODB and Talia Madison and Angel Williams. They just walked out and then walked back.
Yes.
That was lame. But for the established TNA girls to be out there, that part was awesome. And yes, Amazing Kong killed her. She was big and strong and scary, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, ugly. and it established her as a big, scary, dominant heel. And I was stunned. I was struck dumb when she actually won the match. Because this is TNA. And I figured Gail Kim would make a comeback and hit her finisher and win. But no.
Well, they can very easily screw it up on...
There is still time. But for one day, they got this right.
In fact, they actually screwed it up here. Because, to be honest, the way I would have done it is Amazing Kong would have killed somebody else. Like, I don't know.
Christy?
Jackie Moore. Actually, I'd say Jackie Moore because they had a better debut match with her. But then Amazing Kong wins the title on Sunday, and she's the monster. And you build up to Gail getting her big title match against her, which would have been great. But anyway.
Well, that would have been better.
They'll probably screw this up by Amazing Kong also not winning on Sunday.
Yes. That would have been better than what they did, but I will say what they did was not wrong. So, yes, thumbs up.
You know what they also could have done was not debuted her on the show, and she would have just... They would have had all the girls come out for the Battle Royal thingamajigger, and she would have been the last one and just fucking destroyed everybody. Tossed them out, won, and A Star is Born. But they didn't. But this was still the best thing on the show. Clips aired from Don West's interview with the Guru. It was horrible.
We're here with the Guru, Sanjay Dutt, while he's meditating. We're going to try to see if we can interrupt him for a second and ask him a few questions. Sanjay. Guru.
Hello, Mr. West.
Hi, Sanjay.
I want to say I love you here, and I love you being here today.
I love you too, Sanjay.
What brings you here?
Well, Sanjay, we got a lot of questions. The fans and I, we'd like to know this noticeable change in your life. What's this all about?
Well, Don, I realize that we must become the change that we want to see in the world. I realize that an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. And there's people out there suffering. There's starvation. There's people that need my help. There's people that need my voice. And that's why I'm here. The Ebola virus epidemic that's running rampant through the mid-Atlantic and Nairobi. I'm here to help.
Sanjay, I've never heard of this Ebola virus Nairobi Atlantic thing.
Well, that's precisely my point. The fact that you haven't heard of him means that you can't help, that you can't love. But that love only goes so far, Mr. West. That's why I need your wallets. I need everybody to help. That's why I'm soliciting donations here for the Guru Humanitarian Fund.
You want money right now?
No time like the present, Mr. West.
Let's see what I got here. I go sitting on my wallet. How about that? I got a couple bucks.
As little as 50 cents can save a child. Yeah, the children are going to love this. The cause is going to love this, Mr. West. Please, would you mind joining me in a meditation?
It'd be my honor.
Close your eyes. Repeat after me. Breathe in the air and feel that.
Somebody, I don't know if it's Don or Sanjay, but someone out there thinks Ebola jokes are funny.
Yeah. They kept making Ebola jokes. Don didn't even know what Ebola was. He
Yes.
think I live in a bubble. So they meditated, supposedly. I use that term loosely, and then it sucked.
And the guru wants money.
So then we had clips from the Orient. Don't yell at me. That's the way they termed it. The Orient. Tomko and Giant Bernard defended the IWGP tag titles. And then we had Chatting with the Champ, which is a wacky new skit with Christian, who is not, in fact, a champ. If anyone noticed. Is that with AJ Styles? There was a low-rent Raw skit. Joe came out. They argued about their match on Sunday and it ended up erupting into a brawl. And in the end, AJ tried to hit him with a ukulele, which failed.
That was so great.
Joe destroyed him. Matt Morgan pulled him out of the ring and then ended up with Joe and Christian in together. And Christian hit him with a coconut.
Yes.
Which is also proof that Vince Russo is watching WWE 24/7.
Which they referenced earlier when Joe pointed out those coconuts there and said, the snooker thing?
Yeah.
Because one thing you're not allowed... In TNA, you must always reference legendary wrestlers, but you must never use their first names.
Yes.
Funk. Snuka.
Snuka.
Yes.
Then we have the generic blonde chick interviewing LAX and the Latino Nation, who have returned. I very much miss Conan, just so I throw that out there. It was fine.
Homicide is fine. Conan is, in fact, better.
Latino Nation is a bunch of Latinos with bandanas, for those of you wondering. P. Williams and Robert Roode. P has a complete body. He's significantly smaller. They had a pretty good match for the 3 minutes or so that it lasted. Then we had... you know what I hate about TNA?
You're in a fine mood there about 8 seconds.
I just remembered this. They did a... Tracy Brooks is out there, and they did a spot where she interfered. And you know what it led to? Why? Nothing.
Right.
Why would you do interference just for the sake of doing interference? Who wants to see interference in a fucking match? Nobody. So if you do interference, it's best if it leads to something. She interfered, and it led to nothing. It did not lead to her man getting the heat. It did not lead to the pin. It did not lead to the other man getting an advantage. It just existed because somebody thought it would be cool to have her interfere. So anyway, P went nuts, set up for the Canadian Destroyer. Rude pinned him clean with a Fisherman Suplex, and Rude beat him up afterwards and wanted Tracy to hit him. She refused. He threatened to fire her. So Kaz ran down to make the save, and then Rude pulled her out of the ring and demanded she go with him. And poor Petey, just an afterthought.
Not even an afterthought. They showed him in the corner so cowering beaten.
Yes.
He was punked.
Sucks to be him.
It sucks to be him. This was as good a 3-minute match as you could see. And Petey, I'd like to congratulate because he had to get in the springboard Ron to the floor, but at least he saved it for the comeback this time.
That's good.
He's been known to do that in like the second move.
Yes. JB was with Kurt looking for Sting in the bathroom. He found Rikishi. Horrible television.
I really don't think this is a good idea. Kevin said Sting's really pissed off right now.
I know he's pissed off, and I'm kind of pissed off, too. What the hell am I whispering about? Just follow me.
Moron.
Where you going?
Right here. If you want to find a piece of crap like Sting, it's the first place you look.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Can I help you? No, wrong guy. Oh, my God. I'm going to throw up. You ready to start?
Abyss and Rhino against Raven and Black Rain. Somebody was on the board talking about great minds in TNA that could be booking, and they mentioned Jim Cornette. And then they mentioned Raven. And God bless Raven, but Raven has a much higher opinion of himself than I think is probably deserved. And the fact that he was in this match shows that he can't possibly be that smart. They're building up a Monsters Ball match on Sunday. So what do they do? A no DQ hardcore match that involved thumbtacks, Raven giving a DDT to Abyss into the thumbtacks, face first, so that the thumbtacks went into his face, forehead, and cheek.
Right.
And it was a transition spot, you see.
Yeah.
It was not the finish.
No.
They did this move. There wasn't even a pop. And then the match just kept going. It was there in a 3-fucking-minute television match.
Yes. Because Abyss must take a face-off and a thumbtacks once a month. It's in his contract, apparently. He must do something stupid to his body.
This made me so mad.
I'm still being mad at this point. I just why? Mild curiosity, I would say. I'm beyond anger, because that would imply that I care one way or the other. I'm mildly curious as to what made them think I'll take a bump and a thumbtacks in this match here on free
Plus,
TV.
as I mentioned last week, they did this match, and it's like, okay, now you got to pay for Monsters Ball. Wait,
you've seen everything.
What more could I possibly want to see? I just saw a guy take a DDT face first and thumbtacks. What are you going to give me on Sunday?
And come up with thumbtacks in his face.
Why would I possibly care? Why would I watch this and want to see more?
I don't know. I don't know why Raven and Black Rain started fighting at one point.
I don't know.
I know Abyss and Rhino started fighting, but at least Abyss was allegedly blind at the time. I don't know why there was a near fall here that completely snowed Don West to the point where he was talking about the match like it was over.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about this segment.
Rikishi, Junior Fat 2 did a promo. He said he smelled something foul, and what he smelled was their next interview when he was asked about an upcoming title shot. If anybody can translate that to me in English, I would be very appreciative. Then we had generic blonde interview chick version 2 interviewing Matt Morgan. He called her Crystal. Apparently that's her name. He said Jim Cornette had appointed him to be the special enforcer for tonight's main event. And then this is what he said. He said his job was not to keep Sting out of the ring. His job was, in case Sting ran in, to make sure Angle couldn't get away.
He did say that, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
I don't think that's much of an enforcer at all. That's an allower. What do you call someone who helps an alcoholic?
Who can watch this show and think, boy, I sure hope Sting interferes in this match? An enabler!
Enabler, thank you, yes. Matt Morgan was not an enforcer, he was an enabler. Well, the good news is...
he doesn't stutter anymore.
Yes. I spent about 0% of the time focusing on the content of what he was saying, and just focused on his delivery, and I remembered, holy crap, this guy can talk.
No shit!
Yes! So yes, TNA, congratulations, and by giving Matt Morgan one promo, as idiotic as it was, you've made more use out of him than WWE ever did.
Yes, that's true. Good job, TNA. Thumbs up for that. LAX and Rikishi versus Team 3D and Kurt Angle. Matt Morgan is special. I put special announcer. May as well have been.
Errors.
Said, and we already talked about what he said. So anyway, there was commercial early on. And when they came back, the announcer said, here's what you missed. And we missed, seriously, about a half dozen different things.
We missed a lot, as it turns out.
LAX, Morgan, the flag, the Latino Nation, all of this we've missed during commercial.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't write it down, but now that I think about it, I remember the Latino Nation getting thrown out. I forgot about the flag. I forgot about the heat. I forgot about the interference. But yeah.
And Morgan.
Morgan.
Today was then going on, plugging the pay-per-view, and going nuts about how we were going to see, and I quote, the return of the reverse battle royal.
Yes. Yes. This is supposed to draw you in. This is supposed to sell this show to you.
I understand nostalgia. I understand people. In fact, there's an argument on the board about how great the wrestling in the early 90s was. And, of course, when I challenge people on this, they mentioned All Japan. No shit! But anyway, people like to romanticize about certain periods. And you also get the problem where really stupid shit in the mid-90s is looked back upon as being great, when in fact it was horrible at the time, it was bad for business, and it's still horrible today. And that's the story of Vince Russo's life, really. Never learning a goddamn thing. They're looking back on the Reverse Battle Royal like it was a success.
Yes, and you know what's worse?
There's never been a bigger failure. I shouldn't say never, but it did win the worst match of the year in the Observer Awards.
Did it really?
Everybody with a clue buried that fucking match, and they look back upon it fondly. So fondly, they're trying to sell it.
Yeah.
As a selling point of their biggest pay-per-view of the year.
They think it's great, yes. Now, here's the thing. There is something to be said for nostalgia. People may forget that Mantar really wasn't a very good wrestler. They may think it would be fun to watch Just Incredible come out with a jockstrap on his head again and go, yeah, it's Aldo Montoya.
Woo!
The Reverse Battle Royal was like 6 months ago.
A year ago,
whatever. It's very recent.
Yeah.
It has not yet had... The stink is still in the air for the Reverse Battle Royal. And yet they're selling it. Reverse Battle Royal.
Homicide had Angle pinned. Yeah.
Sure, why not? Well,
the ref was out of position, and then Kurt hit the Olympic slam for the pin. Angle is defending the World Championship against Sting on Sunday, and they had Homicide get a visual pin. It's so stupid, I bet almost nobody even noticed it.
I say again, I don't even care about that kind of thing anymore. I just watched it and I thought, wow, I'd like to see Kurt Angle versus Homicide one-on-one. That'd be fun.
Well, that's not what we're getting.
I know!
Then Angle grabbed the mic after the match, said it was now time. He'd beaten up Sting, demanded he come down. Sting appeared on the big screen, told Kurt to settle down, and said he was going to wait for the pay-per-view. Then he said maybe not. And suddenly behind Kurt was a member of the Latino Nation who unmasked, and it was Sting, and he proceeded to put Angle in the Scorpion Deathlock. Angle tapped immediately. The show went off the air. It was fine. It was a good idea on paper. I don't know if it was exactly that great in execution, but what the hell can you do? I don't see them. I don't see this as a pay-per-view that's... I will predict 25,000 buys, which is actually up, because I think it's their big pay-per-view of the year, and I think they're going to do 25,000, which I'll probably look like an absolute fool afterwards, but I don't see it doing anything more than that.
I see it as every TNA could you ever.
1-1.
1-1, everybody. Yep, nothing's... They got 2 hours.
1-1. It is Sunday night, October 14th, 2007, Monday, October 15th. It is the TNA recap show. We're going to be talking about Bound for Glory, which was actually a hell of a pay-per-view. It is the Future Stars edition of the Bryan and Vinny Show. We've got the Apostle Paul here, live in studio. Paul, how you doing?
Good.
That's right. Paul was here to watch the pay-per-view with us this evening. Doesn't watch a lot of TNA pay-per-views, I would presume, but you've been watching a lot of Impact.
Been watching a lot of Impact, but actually, I've been watching quite a few of those TNA pay-per-views.
You have been watching the pay-per-views?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, let's talk about this show. Vinny, of course, is here as well. Vinny, what
I am, in fact, here. I was yielding to the Apostle Paul.
That's right, as well you should. Paul still owes you for the time when we were filming the Bryan and Vinny DVD. When
I do, in fact, owe you you owe me. I owe you
an apology.
Let me just say it. I owe you a kicking.
Yes. That's right. Paul owes Vince an ass-kicking.
He owes me pain.
Because Vince decided that we were trying to put Vince over as a killer, and it was at Paul's expense.
I got a little carried away.
Vince forgot the part about this business being fake.
I kicked him really hard.
God, you just brutalized him. So, yeah, there's an advertisement for the Bryan and Vinny DVD. But, Vinny, what were your thoughts on this pay-per-view in general?
This is a hell of a show. This is the best pay-per-view I've seen since WrestleMania. That includes TNA, obviously, WWE, and, yes, even Ring of Honor.
Wow.
I like this better than either of the ROH shows.
You like this better than Driven?
Driven was good. I like this better.
Wow. Paul, what were your thoughts?
Well, actually, I didn't think this was nearly as good as some of the other TNA pay-per-views I've seen in the past.
Really? What was it about this show? Make sure you get right up there next to that. I know your beard gets in the way, but...
Yeah, it does.
What was it about this show that you weren't such a big fan of?
I don't know. It just seemed like mental overload with too many high spots, and honestly, I think there was one or two really great matches in there, but for the most part, it was just one thing after another, and you couldn't keep up with all the action.
There was some insanity, and there were some things that I wasn't a fan of on this show, but did you watch the last, what was the last show? I called it Hard Justice. I don't even know what it was really called, but did you watch the September show?
No, actually I didn't.
When was the last, a couple months ago, several months ago?
It's been several months, yeah.
Right. Well, let's go over this show match by match. Then we're going to let Paul hit the road because he needs to go to work, in fact, to earn money for his future career. But we missed the first 10 minutes of the opener, but it was the Ultimate X match. It was Elix Skipper and Senshi versus Homicide and Hernandez. The winner of this match got a tag title shot. This was a hell of a match. A lot of insanity. We missed the first part, so I don't really know how good it was, but what we saw was very good. And I should actually know that this was one of those shows where the crowd really made this a great show. I mean, this probably would have been good with a lesser crowd, but they were hot from the opening bell, and they were hot for the entire show, and there were only a couple of points where they sort of lost the crowd, but it was understandable why that would happen. But they went nuts for this match. This is awesome, chance, that sort of thing. It was not a good night for Elix Skipper. He was nearly killed on several occasions. A neck breaker off the cables, landed on the back of his head and neck. Then he got border tossed into the aisle on a Senshi Homicide, again, onto the back of his head and neck. And finally, I guess Hernandez crawled up, got the X, which was hanging between the cables, and got the win. So, thumbs up opener.
See, I actually look at it as a good night for Elix, just because he should have died and did not.
Well,
there were those two spots you mentioned. He also hit a giant plancha from the top of the structure, for lack of a better term, onto Hernandez in the ring, and those were three of the biggest moments. But there were several times where it appeared to be an out-and-out attempt to have someone die during this match.
Yes,
and that's bad. But when all is said and done, and it's over, and no one in fact died, it ended up being good.
Well, there could have been a crippling. We don't know yet.
We're sure no one's died. We think no one's seriously hurt.
Yeah.
We're sure they're all beat up to hell.
Yeah.
But this was a train wreck going back to the Dudleys and Hardys TLC matches that we haven't seen the likes of in a while, and we don't need to see them every month. But
no.
once in a while, it's just fine, and this was very fun, and I'm kind of bummed we didn't see the whole thing, but what we saw was great.
So have you forgiven them for not having a reason for this match? It was the opener, dude.
It was the opener. All right, but I enjoyed the show. So I enjoyed this match. I'm not satisfied with the way they built up to it, but the result was fine.
Paul?
Yeah, definitely have to be in agreement with Vinny here. Yeah.
It's rare on this show.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I thought it was, the pacing was nice, but at times it kind of got a little clunky. And I don't know, it just seemed like
a stunt show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of what it was there, but yeah, so there you go. That was the opener. Recommended. Then we had the one of many bad skits. There were This was another example of trying to swerve the audience and not really swerving anybody. I mean, when I was reading the reports online, and it was about, I'd say, hour into the show, and I read about a meeting between Nash and Angle, and I was like, so Nash is turning on Sting tonight. I just had that assumption, because they were playing it up like Nash was going to turn on Angle, so obviously that meant it was going to be a swerve, and Nash was going to turn on Sting. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. So, failure. We had Kurt and Karen, and by the way, that made pretty much no sense, by the way, which is why it was a failure. A swerve is fine if it makes sense. This swerve made no sense. So, Nash showed up, Karen showed up, Kurt showed up, and then we had the generic blonde chick interviewing Tomko and AJ and Christian, who were ranting and raving about this and that. Christian was upset that he was not in the tournament actually, he was upset that there was a tournament for the number one contendership, because he said he should just be the number one contender. Said he was going to find his way into it. And then Tomko and AJ talked about how they were going to win the tag team titles. And
AJ did shout-outs.
He did. AJ did a bunch of shout-outs to his mother, alerting her that he was ripped. I've yet to do that in my life, but First time for everything, and that was that.
You know, it really seems like in those interviews with those three, it always seems like the Three Stooges or something. You know?
Yes, it is.
That is the idea.
It is bad comedy and supposedly a main event level duo. We have the reverse battle royal. Now, it was said that the winner of this match would become the #1 contender. I could have sworn they said that. Well, that got changed. This became a reverse battle royal where, first off, you had to fight to get into the ring. Once 8 men were in the ring, it became a battle royal, and based on when you were eliminated, that seeded you into a tournament that starts on Impact. So,
correct.
What did you win for winning this match? What did you gain by becoming the victor?
The #1 seed.
Which means what?
You wrestled James Storm.
Which means what?
Nothing.
All of the seedings were equal.
Correct.
The winner did not get a bye in this tournament. The winner got nothing. So, to me, wouldn't it make sense that once you were in the final 8, you just jumped the fuck out so you didn't get hurt?
Don't forget bragging rights.
Oh, that's right. Mike today added that.
They were very, very adamant there were bragging rights at stake.
Bragging rights. So, the reverse battle royal portion of this, the good news is it was only about 2 to 3 minutes long. The bad news
Everything else is the bad news.
This was the worst 2 to 3 minutes of wrestling I've seen in 2007. For those of you that don't understand, they put 16 guys outside the ring, and you have to get in. You have to slide into the ring. Now, there's never a period where somebody is always beating on somebody else. There was always somebody standing there with the ring right in front of them, and they had to pretend like they couldn't get in.
Yeah. My favorite was Sanjay. Poor Sanjay Dutt at one point looked around and realized there was no one within 15 feet of him. So he leapt over the apron, he grabbed the ropes, he went to step through, and then he slipped and fell to the floor and sold.
Yes. Sanjay Dutt so clearly hates everything about TNA.
Can you blame him?
But he just doesn't care.
Yeah, he just does his
It's
job.
so clear from watching every interview, every match, every
skit.
promo, everything he does, he is collecting a paycheck, and he doesn't care. More power to him.
Sure. And then there's also, at least he did that. Other guys would just have the opportunity and not get in.
Paul, let me ask you a question.
Eric Young was just walking around the ring at one point, looking for something to do.
Yeah. Paul, let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
When did you first start watching wrestling?
Well,
what was it about wrestling that caught your eye?
Lucha Libre.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what was it about Lucha that caught your eye?
Well,
I mean, was it the athleticism?
Was it the masks?
Was it the, what was it about wrestling that impressed you? Was it like, boy, that's really cool?
Just that physical ability to go out there.
You were impressed.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get at.
I mean,
you were blown away.
There's words that just there's no words that can describe it, I guess.
But so you were impressed to a degree you cannot put into words.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to hear. So when you first started watching wrestling, you were impressed beyond words by what these men were able to do.
Correct.
Vinny, what impressed you about this wrestling?
That, as well as the personalities.
So larger-than-life personalities.
Yes.
And just these crazy, cool people.
Maniacs like Randy Savage, yes.
Just men you'd never see.
Correct.
Okay. I saw the Ultimate Warrior, a superhero-sized man, beating up a fatter man. Whatever. Okay. That's what got everybody hooked on this business. Why would you want to watch 16 guys who are so dumb that they can't figure out how to get into a ring? Is there anything less impressive than seeing men not being able to figure out how to get into a ring? If the first thing you saw was a reverse battle royal and Sanjay Dutt tried to get in and then slipped on a banana peel
and hurt himself
and fell out. Is there anything less impressive than this spectacle in the world of wrestling?
I think someone trying to put a triangle block into a circular block.
That's up there. You would never pay for that. You would not be hooked on such a thing. I hate the whole idea of this reverse battle royal and how stupid it makes everybody look.
You forgot this one thing, too. Shark Boy, for this reverse battle royal, was wearing a neck brace.
Yes! There's an impressive physical specimen right there. So after this bullshit, and I have no other word for it.
And we have spent, by the way, twice as long talking about it as it actually took place on the show.
It finally came down to 8 men. Storm, Young, Hoyt, Kaz, Shelley, Sabin, Rude, and Fatu. I should mention that the 8 men who didn't make it in, is there a bigger group of 8 losers on this earth?
Why no?
You guys are such failures. You couldn't find a way to get into the ring.
They failed to climb into a ring.
Did you ever, Paul, on your first day of this business, have to learn how to get into the ring?
Well, it didn't take that much. I mean,
But he didn't have a full session on how to get in the ring?
No.
You just sort of got in there?
Yeah.
What about Buddy's son, who's won? Has he ever had a problem getting in the ring?
No, he just climbs right in.
Yes. The ring apron is above his head, and he gets in the ring. These 8 fuckers couldn't find a way in. So then we had 8 guys, and they proceeded to have an actual decent battle royal, per the standards of battle royals, which are normally pretty bad. So a lot of craziness and that sort of thing, and then it came down to Rude and Eric Young for bragging rights, and Eric Young pinned him with a small package. And the only news is that per the eliminations, we are going to get a match between Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, which is going to be great.
Actually, I have more to say than... That's not the only news. First of all, yes, the world needed to see Eric Young and Bobby Roode one more time.
Yeah.
Now, when you say we're going to get Chris Sabin versus Alex Shelley, what actually happened was Mike Tenay noted that he had taken very copious notes, and to the best of his ability, he had calculated that due to the seedings as a result of the battle royal after the reverse battle royal, he thinks Chris Sabin is going to wrestle Alex Shelley.
So it's not confirmed.
It is not confirmed, but he pointed out, as part of the broadcast, this segment was obscenely complicated and fucked up and a pain in the ass to keep track of.
Yes, he took notes and he's not sure.
He took notes, and it's his job, and he is still not sure.
Yes.
Yes. Think about that for a second. Now, let's assume that he's correct. And we're going to get Chris Sabin versus Alex Shelley.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be a fine match.
Yeah.
Who wants to see them wrestle each other? They're a tag team. We want to see the tag teams wrestle other tag teams.
I'm actually fine with that because it'll be a good match.
It will, in fact, be a good match, but damn it. the machine guns come out, everyone loves them, and then they always just get punked in the end.
Yeah.
And now
they have to wrestle each other.
We are guaranteed one of them is going to get punked again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul, your thoughts on this reverse battle royal into a singles match for nothing?
Yeah, I thought that Shelley and Sabin, man, they got punked. Exactly that. You know, they were looking really good, and then all of a sudden it just like they got shot into the ground.
They are massively popular, and nobody ever does anything with them. So we had to the back. Sorry. Then we had Karen yelling at Kurt, and then it was bad. We had Ron Killings and Consequences Creed against AJ Styles and Tomko for the TNA tag titles. Pac-Man could not wrestle. It's just blatant false advertising. In his hometown, nobody cares. So he stood on the outside, and Consequences Jones did a lot of leaping and jumping and wackiness in his offense. And they actually had a good match, aside from the finish, which we'll probably be seeing a lot tonight. We ended up with Pac-Man getting on the apron with money. And AJ grabbed it, but then Killings rolled it up and money went flying. So Earl Hebner started picking it up, and Mike Tenay said, and I quote, "Picking up the bucks like a dancer in a club." Ha ha ha! Wow. What could be funnier?
I missed that line at the time.
That is an exact quote. Picking up bucks like a dancer in a club. Now, for those of you that don't know what happened, Pac-Man Jones and his entourage went into a club in Las Vegas, Pac-Man threw $81,000 in the air. All the dancers dropped down to pick it up. Pac-Man, I guess, wanted his money back. There was a big scene. They got kicked out of the building. And then minutes later, a man returned to the building with a gun, started firing, shot a girl, I believe, and a bouncer, who is currently still paralyzed, actually. Tommy Urbanski, and he was a former professional wrestler. He will never walk again. And this is now comedy. Comedy!
Ouch.
Picking up the bucks like a dancer in the club. Ha, ha, ha!
Yeah.
Seriously.
Like I say, I missed this line when he announced it, or I would probably not have liked the show so much. But yes.
How can I just would like anybody in TNA to explain to me how that's funny. Anybody. I would give $81,000.
Anybody on Earth to tell us why that's funny.
Anybody in TNA can give me a reason that will make me laugh, I will give them $81,000. I will. I will say that here publicly on the air. So, AJ and Tomko ended up winning after this shooting reenactment, in fact. And AJ Styles, in his hometown, one of the most popular guys on the show, won the tag team titles. Everybody went crazy, and they screamed, "To the back!" So, yes, the wrestling was pretty good, but everything else about this was completely offensive.
Yeah. And then I did note the classic to the back. The match was, for what it was mostly fine. There was a segment with Truth versus Tomko where they did, I've never seen less selling. If you're getting beat up in a match and you need to go on offense, this is called a transition in the business. Getting clotheslined is not a transition. You don't just take a move and then get up and hit the other guy. There should be something in the middle there that transitions from defense to offense. That aside, I have no idea who Consequences Creed is. I don't know where they found this man. I've never heard of him.
NWA Wildside, I believe.
NWA Wildside. He's fine. He's certainly better than some of the guys on the show, from what I could tell. Hell of an athlete. And match was kind of clusterfucky in a way in that we always thought this whole time that, as weird as it was, Team Pac-Man was supposed to be the baby faces, but then...
No, I don't know.
They got the heat on AJ, and Tomko made a comeback.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No one knows.
But,
it was AJ's hometown.
But I enjoyed the wrestling, and so I gave it a thumbs up with the mute button on.
Yes. Paul?
Well, confusing win, in my opinion. It didn't seem to make all that much sense that Tomko and AJ walked away with the titles, but considering the whole exactly what Vinny just said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all in all though, it wasn't half bad.
The wrestling was fine.
Yeah.
And we had Karen Angle doing something backstage with Nash. And it's another just stupid segment.
These were all horrible.
She explains that if Angle loses tonight, they both lose their meal ticket. Because Kurt apparently pays Kevin Nash a lot of money for those stupid segments where Nash is in a tanning booth listening to Kurt lament. So she made fun of Nash for being unable to wrestle, saying he was nearly in a wheelchair. He said no, he was definitely not wrestling again, and he agreed to go talk with Angle. This was bad.
All of these segments were, at best, pointless. They were, at worst, really, really grating and annoying, and then they led to the clusterfuck at the end. So, yes, thumbs down for this.
When I was 10, my friend made me watch this soap opera called Guiding Light. And, every segment reminded me of it.
This is not a good thing, is what you're saying.
Yep.
All right. Just want to make sure you weren't still watching Guiding Light.
No.
Was there something wrong with that?
Well, Granny would maybe make a, Jay Lethal and Chris Daniels for the X title. They had a really good match. A lot of near falls, TNA chants, that sort of thing. And this is awesome chants. Don't have a lot of strong memories about it, only that it was very good, and it was a video game style match. Here's what I can say about this match. If you can enjoy a match where a man gets a uranage on a guardrail and then gets body slammed on a guardrail, and 5 minutes later is making a comeback and not selling his back, this is a match for you. If that sort of thing annoys you, not a match for you. This was a video game match with better psychology but a wrestling match with not great psychology. Anyway, I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a hell of a match, all things considered. Could have been better.
I guess that's fair. I guess I could enjoy a video game match then, because I thought this was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought Jay Lethal was great tonight. He was fantastic.
They were both awesome.
They were both awesome. Daniels, though, this was like the best Jay Lethal I've ever seen. Daniels has been great before. And there was a moment when, as you noted, Daniels hit the Uranagi into the guardrail, and Don West said, "That's how you stop momentum in a hurry." Now,
thank God we have announcers.
Yes, note to all wrestlers, when you get the heat, that's how you want the announcers to react. That's the idea. You want to stop the momentum in a hurry.
Yes.
Just keep that in mind when you're putting a match together. And after that, yes, they did 8 million things, and I also like the Chris Daniels, who is a fallen angel who talks to dark gods, but he's still wearing his wedding band in the match. Very faithful.
He's maybe married to the devil.
He may be married to the devil. So
we don't know. His wife.
But this was great, and then at the end, Jay Lethal just won.
Yeah.
One man beat another and defended his title.
Clean pin.
Cool.
Thumbs up.
My favorite match of the night.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I can't argue it too much.
You know, I thought Jay Lethal was on fire, dude. That's the best way to describe it.
That seems to be the consensus here.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, everybody. Then we had the Steiners doing a interview backstage, calling the Dudleys fat asses, so there was no way they were winning in Atlanta. Scott did the craziest promo ever, and Rick had a look on his face like he had no idea what his brother was talking about. That made it great.
We need to drop immediately of Scott Steiner saying, "Fat asses."
Steiners against Team 3D. They beat him up on the ramp.
In a 2 out of 3 tables match.
That's right, I'd forgotten about that. You had to put a man through 2 tables to win, or 2 men, or something like that. 2 tables had to be broken for your team. 2 tables had to be broken for your team. So, make a long story short, ended up tied 1-1, and these tables were lame. Paul, have you ever been put through a table?
Not yet.
I've been put through a table, and let me tell you how this works. If you've got a solid table that's not too solid, that's good. Because you go through the table, it breaks your fall, everything's great. If it's a really, really hard table and like a big fat ass jumps on you and the table doesn't break, sucks to be you. If it's a table that you go through like a knife through hot butter,
sucks to be you.
Well, not as much as if it's a hard table, but you're taking a bump. The table ain't helping you out any. So that's what these tables were. They were these horrible tables that guys were just going through like nothing. So what happens? It's tied 1-1. They put Scott Steiner on a table, and the fucking table just breaks. And you could not have laid the man on the table any easier than they did. I mean, they could have taken a crane and lowered him slowly onto this table until his body touched it and then released the crane. That's what they did, and it broke. So
some could make the argument that the legs just collapsed.
Sure, but the table broke.
It was a shitty table.
Well, the thing also was the legs collapsed and the table broke. Yeah. It was a bad.
Well, you know, there was another table where it appeared Rick Steiner went through it, and the table appeared to break in 2 places.
It did. It broke in half twice.
They were concerned that perhaps all of these men who are, I don't know, 270 or so or bigger,
yes.
they were afraid these men may not be able to go through a particle board table.
This was an only in TNA moment.
Yes.
So the table breaks, but the Steiners aren't supposed to lose. So what do? Well, they explained that didn't count. You had to put a man through a table, they said. You cannot place him through a table. So anyway, they ended up doing some stuff, and then they were going for the trachea buster on Scott, but the Motor City Madmen made the save, and Steiner ended up clubbering both guys with a chair, the Dudleys that being, and then he put the Devon through the table with a top rope bulldog, and they won, and it was...
To the back!
It was that too, but it was fine.
It was okay for what it was, and they did crowd brawling at the beginning forever, which, you know...
It's crowd brawling.
It's crowd brawling, and when you have 2 guys like the Steiners who are not necessarily in the best of health, it's probably the best thing to do. Yeah. Live crowds love it. It's not great TV.
No.
There was an ultimate TNA moment here where the Steiners went to meet Team 3D on the ramp. And as best I can gather, this is what happened. Scott went tearing up the aisle, ran into the Dudleys, and started fighting. A cameraman then jumped into the middle of the aisle to get this shot. Rick Steiner then came up the aisle and just plowed right through this camera guy. and just send them tumbling to earth. So
gotta teach these idiots a lesson.
So there's this poor camera guy down. They cut down. He's trying to figure out where the hell he is and if his machine is broken. And then about a minute later, they cut to his camera for like 6 seconds. We just saw the guardrail moving around. This was a low-rent, Bush League, sideshow, carnival deal that just made these guys look like the pathetic little rinky-dink promotion they are.
You know what? I can't say that because I have to say, given all the criticism that we gave TNA last month for their hideous production, hideous, it was so much better this time around. I was almost looking for it. Like, okay, are we going to have a shot of the inside of the entrance ramp for no good reason? Are we going to have 84 shots? And are we going to miss finishes? We didn't have any of that.
Okay, you're right. It was better than last month. There was still some of it
They
on the
didn't
show.
miss a single finish.
Yes, that is an accomplishment. That's an improvement. They missed no finishes.
They didn't miss the finish of the main event.
Or the opener.
Or a tag title change.
That's right. Yes, so granted, the production was better than last month. Still blows.
It's better. Improvement I'm fine with. Paul?
You know, the Steiners match was actually my second favorite match of the night.
Really?
Yes.
I would
aside
not
from
go
the
that
weak
far.
legs of the table, aside from that, I think that the Steiners, they still got a little bit of something.
Nah. Scott's got
a little bit.
I just like that noise.
I was trying to think about that. I think there's something with Scott. I don't think Rick's got much, but I would not classify this as my second favorite match on the show. But it was fine. By the way, I want to say something about to the back, our favorite phrase, where there will be a massive life-changing moment for somebody, like they win the tag team championship in their fucking hometown, and they'll immediately cut to the back. If you were going to cut to the back for something important, fine. When you cut to the back because you're doing a segment with the chicks in the Battle Royal that sucks, not fine. Every time they cut to the back, it was something that detracted from the show.
Yes.
So not only did cutting to the back detract from what had just happened in the ring, but it detracted further by being a shitty segment. That's bad. So, speaking of, we got a segment with all the chicks backstage. It sucked. Then we have the TNA Royal Rumble to determine a new champion. Royal Rumble, last two girls in, have a singles match. Winner gets the belt. I don't know what to say. Well, I do know what to say. There's a Talia, young Talia. She's really cute. And she's really horrible. She was so bad in this match that it took the entire match down a notch. If you take that out of the equation, and a couple of other little spots in here, if you just look at the story of the match, which was that Awesome Kong is King Kong, and everybody else was terrified, and they finally all ganged up to eliminate her, good story. There was a good story to this match, and I liked it. And ODB looked good, and who looked good in this match? Gail Kim looked good. Jackie looked good. Shelly Martinez did not look good. ODB looked good. Christy Hemme looked horrible. She's going to kill herself. Angel,
was not in very long.
Not in there very long. And Talia was hideous.
Talia was, in fact, the worst.
But she was lovely. And Roxy Laveau was fine for what she did. But
she's what we've seen before.
Awesome Kong is fucking awesome.
Agreed.
Now, with that said, there was tea.
We've got to talk about her gear.
There's tea on this show. She's dressed as a gladiator, basically. And for some inexplicable reason, this is almost another $81,000 question. She decided to not wear nothing underneath that gladiator outfit.
Amazing Kong is a naturist.
She's a nature girl.
Nature girl, yes.
She was eliminated, finally, by about 5 girls. Her gladiator outfit flew up, and massive breasts were briefly exposed to the world.
Not as cool as it sounds.
No.
Oh.
This was wrong.
Brian, I think you put it best when you said that put the T in TNA.
It did. It put the T in TNA. I would have preferred A from Talia. Instead, I got T from Awesome Kong.
Bad trade.
Unacceptable. Other than that, her wrestling was great.
What we learned in this match is basically that Awesome Kong
is awesome.
And she is to the TNA Women's Division what Big Daddy V is to ECW, except except that she's awesome.
No.
And her breasts are smaller.
Poor comparison right there. Awesome Kong is this is what I said actually when she was in the middle of this match. That's maybe the first woman where I'd be fine with her in the men's division.
You did say that.
Even China, who looked like an Amazon, that annoyed me. Awesome Kong, have her kill Eric Young.
Yeah, exactly.
Have her kill Shark Boy. I don't give a fuck. I would give it a thumbs up. She was great.
She is great. She is a fine, big, scary woman. She was the fourth person in, and when she came from the ramp, the three women in the ring, the match froze.
Yeah.
And the three women in the ring all stared at her slack-jawed, and they all had the look on their face and said, "Oh, God, we're fucked." The only way this could have been better is if she had been, like, number 6, and there had been 5 women in the ring to all fear her at once. But,
you know what they need to do? Her music was straight out of Skull Island.
It was.
From King Kong. And what they need to do is build a giant wooden gate that they put in front of the entrance ramp. So when it's her turn to come out, the gate just slowly opens, and out comes Awesome Kong.
Yeah, and then she pushes the trees aside.
Just push her as the TNA World Champion. I don't care.
That'd be fine.
I would be completely fine with that if they just went all out with this whole deal right here. So
I also like when she picked Christy up in a backbreaker position and proceeded to bend her backwards over her head and kick her in the head with her own feet.
Yeah.
This was a classic bully move. Stop kicking yourself. Stop kicking yourself.
It sucks to be Christy.
That's called the telephone amateur.
Is it? Yeah, well, she gave her the telephone right there.
Normally done with your opponent on your shoulders like that?
No, it's done from the ground normally. But
it would be cool.
But it could be done. Anyway, I guess we should mention it came down to Roxy and Gail beat her, and is the new champion, which I guess it made sense. Awesome Kong pinned her the show before she won the belt, so they've established a challenger. Like that needed to be established with Awesome Kong, but it was fine. I'll be fine to see that battle. Should be good.
This division has been very fun now for, I guess, 2 weeks.
Yes, it's been great. Nash met with Angle. Now, let me say one more thing about this women's division, though. When they went to 2 hours, the whole idea was, don't add anything. Just take your 1 hour wacky show and spread it out to 2 hours so it slows down. Instead, they started adding shit, including the women's division. Awesome Kong, let me tell you how awesome she was. I love the women's division in TNA. You take Awesome Kong out, shit.
Yeah, well, without question.
It's horrible without her. She single-handedly is creating this division. So anyway, we had a Nash deal with Angle where they argued. Angle called him a pussy. Kevin said Kevin lost his edge. They talked about this phantom slap. Angle called him a cripple and a geek, and then ran out. And this was where I knew for sure that they were turning on Sting.
Yeah, it was
so transparent.
It was so blatant and clear. What concerned me more is that they appear to be sowing the seeds for a future bit where it would be Kurt versus Kevin. Terrifying.
God. Kevin versus Sting. Actually, I can't say that. I'll have something to say about Sting in a minute. Christian versus Joe in a must-be-a-winner match.
Months ago, we mentioned the TNA should have a stipulation match wherein the only way you can win is to hold your opponent's shoulders to the mat for a count of 3 or make him submit.
Yeah.
They did it.
That's what this was.
That's what this was.
The only way to win was to win. So they had a... This may have been my favorite match on the show. In fact, I think this was the best match on the show. It was great. They had an awesome match. All sorts of near falls and such at the finish. Joe was awesome. Joe was always great, but Joe was a different level of awesome tonight. Christian was great. Did a bunch of stuff. Tomko came out with AJ. Matt Morgan sent them all to the back. Christian ended up trying to put a choke on Joe. Joe bowled him into the corner, gave him the muscle buster, put him in the choke, and Christian tapped out clean. Excellent match. 2 thumbs up.
I would concur. This was also my favorite match on the show. The notable thing about this was they went a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Pushing 20 minutes. And at the end, when Joe was making his comeback, I suddenly realized he was hitting all his signature spots, and he had not hit them before.
Yeah.
So therefore, the crowd reacted to them big because he had saved them.
Yeah.
That's good. That's how wrestling's supposed to be done.
This match was great.
This match was great. And then when the stuff with Tomko and AJ when they came down, Tomko and Matt Morgan had a brawl, and I braced myself. And I thought, this is going to be horrible. It wasn't horrible.
No.
I suspect Matt Morgan was hitting Tomko as hard as he possibly could.
Yes.
But it made for okay TV. And then AJ tried to do a springboard, and Matt Morgan, being 19 feet tall, reached up and grabbed his foot and pulled him down. And they all left, and that he actually did enforce things, and it built for the future. So now it'll be presumably Matt versus Tomko, or Matt and somebody versus Tomko and AJ, and then one man beat another.
Yeah,
I give them credit. They delivered their promise. There was a winner.
There was a winner, and this must be a winner match.
We should not necessarily have to pay to see winners all the time, but we did, and we got it.
Paul, your thoughts on this battle?
Must be a winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can't be a loser match.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you guys, and I think that they utilized Matt Morgan perfectly. They didn't overuse him, and they didn't underuse him.
Or expose him.
Exactly. And they kind of kept things between Joe and Christian the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Thumbs up battle right there. To the back! More with Kevin Nash, who was talking to Sting, whom he called Steve. Steve.
Whose idea could that have been?
I don't know. Sting wanted to know why Nash even cared, and Nash goes, "He's all I got." Speaking of guiding light. And then he said something about how, to the effect of, he lived vicariously through Kurt. What?
I don't know. None of this made any sense.
Why can't he live vicariously through Sting? Or anybody else?
How is Kurt Angle...
You're asking too many questions.
How does Kurt Angle keeping the world title put money into Kevin Nash's pocket?
I don't know.
No one knows.
And if seriously, think about it this way. If Nash is Kurt's counselor...
Wouldn't it make more sense for him to want Kurt
Yes.
emotionally distressed?
In fact, he should cause Kurt to lose, because then Kurt would be there every day.
So yes, these all
Who
suck.
writes this? I know the answer.
And we hate him. We hate him.
All of them are so phenomenally stupid.
But now you have to think of the flip side of that one, though.
Okay.
If he were to lose, he could just get fired.
Who?
Kevin Nash.
He'd fire his counselor because he needed him?
No, because he didn't do his job.
Well, I guess so. He's a coach, you're saying?
Essentially.
He's Coach Nash. Okay, well, at least we got somewhat of an explanation. Yeah. Then we had Abyss, Raven, Black Rain, Rhino, Monsters Ball match. It was a hardcore match. I don't know why it was called Monsters Ball. At least last year, as Mike Rowe noted, they claimed that the competitors had been put in a dark room with no food, water, or light for 24 hours, and then sent to the ring.
I had forgotten that. Why did they do that again?
I don't know.
That is good stuff right there.
So,
no light.
What a show this was. They brawled all over the place. Raven gigged. They ended up in the balcony, and he told Black Rain to come up with him, and he said, "Black Rain, jump! Onto Abyss, who's on 2 tables."
He Abyss on a pyramid of tables, and he said, "Come here!"
Yeah.
And Black Rain followed, out of curiosity. And they walked up. God, this is great. He walked out over Abyss on the tables, and Raven pointed and said, "Get him!"
This was a Bryan and Vinny moment, actually. Is completely what it was.
It was.
And finally, Black Rain could not perform, so Raven shoved his ass out of the way and decided, "I must do this myself." And he leaped off, and he went through the table, and he fell down, and he held his arm, and he went, "Ah!"
Raven's selling here was so fantastic.
And then
he didn't leap.
He fell off. He did, basically. He fell off like a great wind had blown him off a tall building. So he falls down, and he's grabbing his arm, and he's howling in pain. And, of course, 30 seconds later, back in the ring. So the match keeps going. Nobody's really selling too much. Everyone's bleeding. It's craziness. Tacks and glass get dumped in the ring. Raven gets hit with the black hole slam into the tacks and the glass, and then he's pinned. What a pussy. I just watched on TV. I just saw Abyss take a DDT onto Tax, and he had Tax in his eye, and he kept wrestling. And Raven gets pinned after a black hole slam? Sad. So anyway, hardcore craziness. It was fine.
That's the key. You are thinking about this way too much.
It was entertaining.
The purpose of this
match...
I
laughed.
We did. I laughed. The purpose of this match was to put a bunch of wacky shit on TV to bring the fans down, actually, from the prior great match, and hopefully have them ready to go for the next great match.
Oh, yeah.
This is not designed to be a great match unto itself. This was there to be a change of pace between the two wrestling matches they had. So, with that in mind, I watched it. It was 10 minutes of zany fun. Fine.
Paul?
I think I have to say the opposite of that. I didn't think that any of it was well placed, It was kind of just...
It was a mess.
It was a mess, exactly. It was odd. And when you had Goldust or Black Rain or what, Dustin Runnels or whatever his name is now, almost jumping onto Abyss, but then deciding to walk away.
Yes. That's why this was great.
That's why it was great.
They took what should have been like a boring hardcore match, and it was absurd.
There was other moments too, like Raven spearing himself into the back end of a shopping cart. That's great. Anytime anyone has a garbage can turned upside down and placed on them, that's always good. And there was a moment here, I believe it was Rhino and Black Rain. Rhino was on the floor, and Black Rain, I think, was reaching from the ring through the ropes to get him. And Rhino reached up and whacked him with the trash can lid. So Raven saw this from across the ring. And so he moseyed on over, and he poked his head through the ropes as if to say, hit me with a trash can lid too. And so Rhino did. And Raven said, gah! And sold.
Yes.
This was great.
Paul, you've never had a hardcore match?
Nope.
What were your thoughts after seeing this one? Are you excited for one in the future?
Well, I saw the first Monsters Ball, and I remember enjoying it a whole lot more than this one.
I think that's probably true.
Now, in the future, for hardcore matches, yeah, I think I'll take one on in the future.
Perhaps?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one. Maybe everybody should have one. I can't recommend more than that. You don't want to be Black Rain one of these days, Paul.
That is definitely true. Or Abyss.
Or Abyss, yes.
Come think of it. I'm not sure who in this match you would choose to be if you had the option.
Rhino.
Yes, the man who drank away his wife and daughter. That's the best you can do.
Then we had Kurt Angle and Sting for the TNA title. I will start with criticisms of this match. First off, Kurt Angle attacked Sting's son. Sting said he was going to, and I quote, kill Kurt Angle. That's what he said. I'm going to kill you. He also, when he was, he said something to Kevin Nash about, I want to go out like this, or something like that. Threatening, like, I don't know. I don't want to know what he was.
They were suggesting he is he had an evil side that was coming out. He was in a bad place.
But anyway, after threatening all these horrible things and saying he was going to kill Kurt Angle, he was so angry that this match started with wrestling. They locked up. They did holds.
Hammer locks.
He tried to kill him with a headlock takeover.
There was a feeling out process.
Why would you do that? Why? So, then, another major criticism in this match, at the end, run-ins. Men ran in. Referee took a bump. Referee took another bump. Men were being pulled out of the ring. And as soon as Kurt Angle hit the ring, you could just hear the air going out of the crowd. Like, fuck! We were enjoying this. Why did you have to ruin it? And on the positive side, we were actually talking about Sting. Vince, I believe, thought he was 43, 44 years old. The man turns 50 in March. God damn, he was great here. Kurt Angle was great. In fact, it's quite the irony that there was a 13-page thread or something on the board today about whether Kurt Angle should be taken out of the Hall of Fame. It was like Kurt read that thread. And there were discussions about Sting and whether he should go to the Hall of Fame. I did not vote for Sting in the Hall of Fame, but I watched this match and I thought, for a 49-year-old guy, if you could have matches like this in every pay-per-view main event, and you could do this consistently over a period of time, taking in your prior career, I would vote for you. Sting was so great this evening. And obviously it was because he was winning the title. But he worked his ass off. And a 49-year-old man, he was on fire during his comeback. He was on fire throughout the match. This was looking like it was going to be the best Sting match, perhaps in a decade, for all I know. This was the best Sting match in years. And they had to ruin it with every bullshit TNA finish we see in every single stupid main event. And it was a tragedy. I felt so bad for these guys. Sting also, this poor fucker, Angle decides he's going to do a 450 off the top. Kurt Angle, 450. What's he do? He gets to 360, and ends up with a double foot stomp on the chest of the 49-year-old Sting. That's got to suck. Later, Angle gets a bat. Angle is going to hit Sting with the bat. Sting puts up both hands to block the bat shot. The bat goes in between his hands and smashes him in the fucking face.
This appeared to be a legit bat.
He immediately was bleeding everywhere.
Yes.
He had this look on his face for a second like, I've just been hit in the face with a baseball bat.
Yes.
And then he sort of smiled, and then he kept going.
Because the spot was for him to have caught the bat and blocked it.
Yes, he blocked it with his nose, mouth, teeth,
forehead.
and face,
Yes.
and orbital bone.
There was also blood on Angle. I think it was Sting's.
The bat may well have bounced off Sting's head into Angle's.
Actually, that may have happened too. All you need to know is that Kurt Angle did a 360 foot stomp into Sting's midsection, and then hit him in the face with the bat. And if I had to take one of these, I would take the foot stomp every time.
Yes,
this was nasty.
This was bad times.
And Sting managed to get through the finish. He won.
Well, we should actually mention
right.
Karen Angle came in, then Nash came in and, of course, turned on Sting. And then the ref took 18 bumps. And then Sting beat up both guys, crotched Nash, and then hit Angle with the Scorpion Death Drop. And won the title, in fact. And, Vinny, you were saying after the finish?
Well, before we get to that, at least with all the interference, you can say they booked it so that the hero overcame it all.
He overcame all the odds, yes.
So that is better than doing a bunch of bullshit and then having Kurt win anyway.
Yes.
It would have been better to just have Sting beat Kurt Angle in a wrestling match.
In Atlanta!
In Atlanta.
You know how huge this would have been if they would have had this same fucking match without the bullshit and he would have beat Kurt Angle clean and won the title in Atlanta? That would have been so awesome.
But instead, it's TNA.
They ruined it.
So Sting wins. Now, he'd been hit in the face with a baseball bat. I know he hit the face ball bat. He'd been hit in the face with a baseball bat 90 seconds prior to this. He stands up. He's looking around. There's blood pouring down his face. And he has this look in his face like, I don't know where I am or what the fuck I'm doing here. And the ref came over and handed him the belt. And Sting just appeared to be saying, oh my God, over and over again.
Yes.
And then the ref tried to say something. And Sting kind of shoved him inside, and I couldn't quite read his lips, but his body language was like, I'm okay, I know what I'm doing. And then he went to celebrate. Oh, he was clearly not in the mood to.
Yes.
But he's a trooper.
He's a
pro.
trooper. And listen, this match, until Karen Angle appeared, this match was such that it was on its way to being the best match on the show. Better than Joe and Christian.
It was going along very well.
I can't even believe how good Sting and Angle were in this match. But, yeah. TNA finish.
TNA finish, yes. Everything was going along just fine. It was even before Karen for me. Even though I knew Karen was coming out and Nash was coming out, and the very first fishy thing, whatever it was, I forget now if it was a ref bump. The problem when you knew
nothing happened until Karen ran in.
Was Karen the first?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Karen. Regardless, at that point, I stopped caring.
Yeah.
I merely observed.
It was sad. Paul?
Nothing is simple with TNA.
No.
Ever.
Nothing.
If it's one thing that bothers me more than anything else in wrestling, it's overcomplicated, run-in, finish crap.
Yeah.
And it just dilutes the match and makes it horrible. This main event was shaping out to be awesome. But then it all went to hell as soon as everybody started running down to the ring.
There's a time for that. Sometimes you have two guys that you need smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, no, there's appropriate times.
Yeah. This was not one of those times. These men did not need this to make this match great. This match was great the way it was. So you had to have Nash do something. He couldn't have done something after the match. He couldn't have done something on TV. He could have done something at some other point than during this match. This is your WrestleMania, and you had to do all of the same old bullshit that we see in every TNA main event. So that took the show down a little bit for me, but overall, this was I thought this was a really good show.
There were three great matches on here. You had Lethal and Daniels, you had Joe and Christian, and you had the first half of Sting and Kurt.
Ultimate X, which we didn't see all of.
Ultimate X, which appeared to be great.
Yeah.
There was some horrible stuff, but by and large it was all short.
Yeah.
The reverse battle royal was short. The horrible backstage skits were short. And other than that, nothing was actually bad.
Yeah.
So this was a great show.
I could recommend getting the replay.
Oh, without question.
Paul,
but skip the last 10 minutes.
Any final thoughts on the show?
As a whole, good pay-per-view.
While I'm in the mood to rant, might as well get into TNA. This show sucked!
It did. The only reason I cannot automatically, hands down, say that was the worst show I ever saw, at many points it was so bad I laughed at it. So it did cross over into being so bad it was amusing, and therefore I cannot say, Brian, that was the worst show I ever saw. But I can say this, Brian, that was among the worst shows I ever saw.
Yes. Yes. Now,
they don't know why that's funny.
This was not the worst show I've ever seen, I will say that. This was the most angry that I've gotten at TNA in a long, long time. And I'll tell you why. Because I thought the pay-per-view was great.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Bound for Glory. For those of you in TNA listening to this right now, I loved Bound for Glory! I want to get that out of the way first. This show sucked. And this show was insulting to me. This show was bullshit. There was a little bit of good wrestling, but there were a couple moments on this show where everything that I hate about TNA came to a head. And every single reason that they're still doing shitty pay-per-view numbers and the same goddamn rating every week was made so patently clear. Because it was another example of, if you're not a diehard TNA fan, why would you watch this fucking show?
If you are a diehard TNA fan, why the fuck would you watch this show?
So, we had Kurt backstage ranting and raving with Borash and Karen, one of 18 segments with this individual and his wife. He's mad at Nash. And when you read the spoilers, this made no sense. They actually did a fine job making it make sense. Because Nash did interfere. Nash was friends with Kurt Angle on Sunday, but Kurt Angle in the end did lose. And so he had to blame it on somebody, so he blamed it on Kevin Nash. Fine. That makes sense. So he said he was going to ask Sting for a rematch. He didn't want Kevin out there. Karen told him he was crazy. He couldn't beat Sting without Nash. That made no sense, but we'll just go on. Angle was appalled, told her to get the hell out so he could get ready for his match. They went to commercial, and then he was coming down to the ring, followed by Karen.
So, this is the second segment. It was the second segment with Kurt Angle. Also, Angle and Kurt and Karen are fighting again.
Yes.
There's nothing we like to see more than people on a team fighting.
Everybody on the show hates everybody else.
Yes.
Can't anybody be friends?
No. We need conflict, Brian.
So Angle...
You know what? Maybe Vince Russo also hates team sports.
Vince Russo just must hate everybody. He must have no friends.
That's entirely possible.
Everything he writes, everybody hates each other.
All the friends hate each other. So, to review, two segments with the Angles, two segments where they're fighting. Go ahead.
And Angle kicked her out of the locker room so we could get ready for a match, and the immediate next segment was him coming down to the ring, and she was following him, and there was no match.
That's right.
Angle came down, started cutting a promo about the NWO.
Yes.
And
the New World Order.
Yes. So Nash finally came out looking like Zeus of mythology, not No Holds Barred, and he was wearing a, from the neck up, I might add, because from the neck down, cheap pinstripe Target shirt, jeans, and some wacky tennis shoes. He looks so fucking dumb.
It actually looks like pajamas, at least the shirt. You look ready for bed.
So he said that the two of them had a nice run, which I don't know what he's talking about. He demanded an apology. Kurt said he wasn't sorry. He said Nash had been riding his coattails. His advice sucked. His jokes weren't funny. He was a disgrace to the business. This was good. I laughed.
I couldn't help but hear in the back that maybe you had something to say to me, so I figured you might want to say it to my face.
Not so mouthy now, is he?
Hiding behind Karen.
Yeah, you know what? If it weren't you, I'd still be the champion. I had Sting exactly where I wanted him, and you got involved in my match, and you cost me the world title.
Look at Angle point that finger of blame at Big Kevin Nash.
Sting was kicking your all around the arena.
Well, that was kind of our view of it too, Mike.
And the only reason I came out, because I felt sorry for you.
Wow. You knew this was going to go bad.
Now, we've had a good little run. And I know you're a hothead, so I'm coming out here tonight and I'm giving you one chance. One chance to apologize to me, face to face, man to man.
Here's your chance, Angle.
You can see Karen pleading to him to do it.
Hold on a second. I'm not sorry.
Wow.
I'm not going to tell you I'm sorry. You know what? Ever since I became champion, you've been riding my coattails.
He ain't living up my coattails.
Dr. Nash, your advice sucks. Your jokes aren't even funny. And you're a disgrace to the business. Now step aside because I have a fight tonight.
Boy, this association has gone bad in a hurry.
Nash said, you have a valid point, but you have a fight tonight. But it is not with Sting, it's with me. And he gave him a powerbomb, left him for dead. Walked out.
Okay. Last pay-per-view, I could have sworn I heard Kevin Nash say, Kurt Angle's title is all I've got. His life would be ruined if Kurt lost the title. Now Kurt's lost the title. Kevin's cool with it. He's moved on. He's just ready to fight Kurt. What? Are these connected at all? Am I the only one who does not understand what's going on?
No, everyone doesn't.
Okay.
No one's thinking. By the way, that's the great irony of this show. I finally figured it out after 5 years. The great irony of this show is that you have to watch it with your brain turned off, yet they bombard your brain with information.
It's true. It's very true.
That's the entire problem with this show.
There's so much information going on, it makes your head swim.
But if you think about it, you get angry because it makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and in the end, it doesn't matter.
No.
So, yes, they are constantly giving you literally useless facts.
After commercial, Angle's on his deathbed.
3 segments, 3 with Kurt Angle.
Karen was telling him to stop. I wrote containing. Makes as much sense as anything else. Complaining. If he wanted to, she wanted to know what he was going to do if Sting accepted the rematch. Kurt suggested a peace offering such as porn.
Oh, he got me down my back, my neck, my hurts. I can't move my legs.
Kurt, stop complaining. What are you going to do if Sting grants you a rematch tonight? What are you going to do? You saw what happened at Bound for Glory. You have got to figure out some way to make this up to Kevin. Somehow.
Right. A peace offering. What does Kevin like? You know him. What does he like?
He likes porn.
Porn. Karen, listen. Go down to the variety store, pick up a big stack of porn magazines. Do they have flicks there?
Yeah, good selection, actually.
Get a few of them and get a couple extra ones for us, but get a few of those for Kevin, and then come back here as soon as you can. Please.
You know what?
Go.
You two think that a stack of porn and a few flicks is going to keep Kevin Nash from kicking your... Is this some kind of joke?
Joke. That's it. Why don't I just tell Kevin this was all a big joke? I mean, brothers fight. I mean, I'll just tell him it's a joke. Do you think he'll go for it?
Yeah, he'll believe that. You know what? No. The only joke around here is you two. I'm out.
Karen, don't forget to pick up the porn.
He told Karen
that was for Kevin.
Go get porn for Kevin and some videos he added. She said this must be a joke. He said, great idea, tell him a joke. And then she said she was sick of them and she was leaving. And he said, don't forget the porn. And this was supposed to be funny.
When they asked what does Kevin like and Kurt said porn, I did laugh. It did not make me want to see them fight. It did not make me want to see the rest of the show. I was certainly sick of Kurt Angle by this point. But, yes, actually, you know what? To this point, that was the best thing on the show so far, the porn joke.
Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin fight for the right tournament. 2 friends everybody loves. Let's make them fight. So they fight for 1 minute. And then suddenly out comes Team 3D, beats them up, destroys them. Bubba screams, we're going to single-handedly destroy the X Division. Said it sucked. Said they were going to destroy it because they could, which is not a good reason. Let's take Hitler invading many countries. He didn't do it because he could. He had a reason for everything he did. They're doing this because they can? That's it? You can drink smoothies. Go do that.
I would be totally in favor of that.
Can you not have a reason for what you do? That's the point of a fucking promo, to explain what you're doing. His promo was to explain that there was no reason for this.
That's right.
I'm losing my voice.
And your mind. So someone on the board noted it.
I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
So he went off and he did all this, and they beat up the machine guns, and no one from the X Division came out to make the save, as Bubba says they're beating up the X Division. And so that was that. This tournament match ended.
Someone on the board noted, hey, this will be a fun feud, and I think Team 3D is going to make the machine guns. Jesus Christ, they're off to a shitty start. They humbled them, they overwhelmed them, they powerbombed them through tables, they left them for dead. By the end of this, the machine guns were as dead as they were going in.
I don't even know if this is going to be a feud.
No, I don't think they're going to have a match next week.
I would think it makes sense that it would be, but I know that the angle is they're just going to try and destroy the X Division. So, for no reason.
Well, which, by the way, is that an achievement at this point?
Apparently so.
Hasn't been dead for a long time.
To the back.
To the back!
So they went to the back, and we had a segment with Jim Cornette, which involved Cornette, Jeremy Borash, Christian, Morgan, Joe, a ladder, tons of screaming, and they went to commercial. I have no idea what happened here. I do not care. So if you care, watch the show.
I got the fact that Joe and Christian, and apparently maybe the ladder also, they all wanted into the tournament. And all I could think was, didn't Joe beat Christian on the pay-per-view? Shouldn't Joe automatically get in over Christian? That's what I got out of it.
Well,
Confusion and distress.
I still don't know what the ladder was about.
Christian said something about he was the king of the ladder match or something.
They didn't have a ladder match.
No. Maybe he wanted one?
I would also like to note that this tournament match... Now, keep in mind, the reason I got so angry about it was this was the first match in the tournament. It went a minute, DQ finish.
Hell of a tournament so far.
Aside from a brief comment by Cornette at the beginning of the aforementioned segment, nobody gave two shits about what happened in that match and what it meant. For an hour. For an hour. There was no discussion about what it meant that in the first match there was a DQ.
Would both men advance? Would they do a rematch?
No one cared.
No one cared.
And my question is, perhaps it's a stupid question, if nobody in TNA gives a shit, why should I? Why should I care about this tournament? It only gets worse.
Indeed. I don't care. I'll just stay on the record.
So, then we had TNA interviewing Disco Inferno, who is making a comeback. There you go.
No, there was more than this. They were talking about this comeback. Disco said he was taking this seriously. He was in great shape. He was ready to take the wrestling world by storm. And Mike TNA turned to him and said, why TNA? Why would you come to this shitty company? I made out the last part, but that was implied. Why the hell would anyone want to come here? And then Scott Steiner walked by and said to Disco, give it up.
Glenn Gilberti, you and I go back an awful long way. In the WCW days, you were one of the staples as the Disco Inferno. I think your career started in the mid-'90s. You lasted 6 or 7 years. To me, the peak was when you were the World TV Champion. From there, you went to TNA. In the early days of the organization, it was totally different character development for you, a so much more serious wrestler as Glenn Gilberti. But to me, since those TNA days, you've fallen off the wrestling map.
Mike, I haven't fallen off the wrestling map. I mean, just because you don't wrestle on television means you fall off the wrestling map. I mean, this is what I do for a living. I'm still a professional wrestler. And to be honest with you, I think I'm one of the best in the world.
One of the best wrestlers in the world? Well, I'll say one of the most entertaining wrestlers in the world. I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, thank you for the ringing endorsement.
You know, this movie, The Comebacks, that comes out this week coincides with your comeback. And you realize that the movie is a parody. And you also realize that maybe this comeback could be deemed a parody?
Oh, Mike, come on. Parody? I mean, does this look like a parody to you? I mean, I'm serious. I mean, you know, like the Martian invasion, you know, one of these brainstorms, everything, things I used to think about, these crazy ideas. You know, that's a parody. I go, this is not a joke, Mike. I'm in the best shape of my life. And I'm ready to be inside that ring again, you know, with those lights shining on me. I'm ready to be in the spotlight again. This comeback is going to work.
In the spotlight again, and I guess I have to ask, why TNA?
Why TNA? Mike, obviously, you know, I don't need TNA. TNA needs me.
Mike?
Scott?
Give it up.
Awesome Kong and the beautiful Talia, who is beautiful yet is no good in the ring. She was destroyed. They showed a replay of Kong being eliminated and her boobs coming out of her top. Swear to God.
Get the replay, everyone.
Only in TNA. She pinned her with the powerbomb. To the back!
Awesome Kong is great. To the back.
Nash did a promo. Said he could be a nice guy, this and that. Said maybe there was more diesel in the tank. Karen walked up to talk to him, but he refused to listen to her and walked off.
This is the 4th segment of the night with Kurt and/or Karen Angle.
Crystal interviewed Chris Harris and Rhino about their upcoming match.
What do they do, Brian?
Well, they don't like each other.
They fought!
Yeah. They said that today they weren't getting along.
We're having problems today.
That was their exact wording.
They had not had problems at any point up till apparently a few hours before this promo.
And why was Harris mad at Rhino?
He'd been drinking.
No.
Oh, he was late.
He showed up late for this interview segment, and he got yelled at. Very fitting. Then we had the match, James Storm and Robert Roode against Rhino and Chris Harris. Jackie and Tracy were out there. Good heat. They noted that, I don't know what they noted.
Who cares?
So, once again, still no mention of what it meant for the Saban and Shelley deal. We're now going on 30 minutes. Harris got a hot tag, broke down into a 4-way. There were no rules for a while, and then suddenly there was a distraction. Roode pinned Harris with a fisherman suplex, and that was that.
Yes, there were suddenly rules, and not just rules like no chairs or only men in the ring can fight. No, Chris Harris was not the legal man. He went after James Storm, and the ref physically accosted him and forced him out of the ring for this flagrant, unacceptable transgression of the rules. And meanwhile, his partner was double teamed and pinned. And this led to Chris Harris and Rhino fighting.
Yeah.
Because partners must fight.
And then it led to
the back. To the back.
JB interviewed Kaz, who cut a promo, which was actually great because it included the line, "I had to put up with Raven's douchebaggery for a year."
Douchebaggery.
Again, no Shelley and Saban update.
Oh.
Today was in the ring with Cornette and 4 new belts, and they called out everybody one at a time to get their new belts. This company's losing God knows how much money, and apparently they've just bought 4 new belts. That's great. Jay Lethal already had a belt, so he didn't get a new one. He came out, and Cornette said congratulations on retaining. Then he left. We only have 2 hours. Then Gail came out and got her belt. She was weeping. Then AJ and Tomko came out. And I would like to note that before they came out, I had no fucking idea who the champions were.
I was sitting here staring at these belts saying, there's the women's belt, that's Gail's. There's the World Championship, that's Sting's. Those other two must be the tag team titles. Whose are they?
I had no fucking idea.
And I remember the Team Pac-Man were the champs. And I remember they must have lost. And I had to sit there and think. And I finally remembered it was AJ and Tomko.
Why is that? Why, let me tell you. Because at Bound for Glory, in AJ Styles' hometown, I remembered this after they came out. AJ won the belts in Atlanta, his own home fucking town, and the place went crazy. And 5 fucking seconds later, to the back!
To the fucking back.
Why? Because apparently to TNA it just didn't matter. And I'd forgotten about it, so there you go.
Yes. Bad TNA. Bad.
Then we had a bunch of shit with with Christian ranting and this and that, and he wanted a shot in the tournament, and so Cornette signed, and I quote, "Joe versus Christian in a fight for the right to fight for the right match."
Right. You're not making that up.
A fight for the right to fight for your right match.
Yes.
So they called out Sting, who got his belt.
And it sure is a good thing Joe won at the pay-per-view. And has to do a rematch against Christian.
Yeah. Who could possibly win this parody match? Oops! I gave it away!
You gave it away. Good
what
thing.
A surprise.
Oh, God.
So, like I said, Sting came out. Angle came out in his wheelchair, said he was too hurt to work tonight, but he'd wrestle next week.
This was the 5th segment with Kurt and/or Karen Angle.
I would like to note that of the 10 segments, this was the only segment where Karen came out and she was fondling and rubbing her husband's shoulders.
They were in love again.
They were in love. The only segment. Every other segment, they hated each other. It was so dumb. There you go.
My notes are what comes back to this show. This show, everyone, this show sucked ass. It was a horrible television show. It Go ahead.
Kurt and Karen were fighting again after the commercial.
Segment with Kurt and or Karen Angle.
Yep. Then they showed the tournament brackets. This is where my blood began to boil.
Okay.
We now have an answer about Shelley and Sabin, by the way, after an hour. They are, and I quote, out.
They showed the brackets, and under the slot where the Sabin and Shelley winner would go, it merely read, out.
Out. So, the person in the bracket above them gets a bye. Gets a bye in this tournament because somebody ran in. Which begs the question, why doesn't somebody run in every match?
You know, they probably will.
That seems like a pretty goddamn good way to just eliminate everybody from this tournament.
Yeah.
So, as my blood was boiling, we got our next tournament match. It was Lance Hoyt against Kaz. Kaz makes his comeback, and what happens? Why? Jimmy Rave interferes. Jimmy Rave interferes.
Yes.
Now, in the first match, somebody interfered, and that led to a DQ, and both men were out. In this match, Jimmy Rave interfered, and it was not a DQ. I was like, okay, all right, fine. I will go with this. I will say Jimmy Rave was outside the ring. Maybe the referee was distracted. Fine. He didn't see this. But that's not all.
There was, in fact, more.
Next, Christy Hemme gets in the ring.
Yes.
In the ring, right in front of the referee, screaming at Lance Hoyt.
Now there's the real key. You talk about the worst of TNA all at once. She was in the ring fighting with her partner.
Yes.
And it was not a DQ.
And it was not a DQ.
This show sucks.
So, I don't have it in me today. Especially after the sports rant that I just gave and the staff shirt rant. But, boy, did this make me mad.
You had to hit pause and just sit there for like a minute.
I'm looking at what I've written, and I've got all capital letters. I've got multiple question marks and exclamation points. I've got asterisks everywhere.
You did state you had run out of punctuation and had to use asterisks creatively.
Yes, and I wish I could have used bigger letters, different colors. Some people say if you've got a big enough vocabulary, you don't have to use all capital letters and shit like that. Bullshit. I believe that I have a bigger vocabulary than many people, having been a writer for many, many years, and having written many, many Frank A. Gotch columns and made copious use of my thesaurus. I don't have the words. I don't have the words in this language or any other language to hate this segment enough.
No. This was the worst of TNA all at once. Everything they do poorly at once at the same time. Lance Hoyt was also wrestling. That's another thing to hate. It's the reason I can't figure out why anyone watches this show. It's the reason... This was a strong candidate for the worst segment of all time.
Bullshit.
Complete bullshit. So eventually Kaz won.
Kaz won. So, now let me explain these fucking brackets. In the quarterfinals, Eric Young versus James Storm and Robert Roode versus Fatu. Alex Shelley and Sabin are out due to a man running in. Kaz has advanced despite 2 run-ins. And we have a fight for the right match with Joe and Christian still to come.
Hell of a tournament so far.
Does nobody remember WCW?
Actually, no. I don't think anyone does.
Does nobody remember when Vince Russo came in and booked those tournaments and they were so fucking bad? Does nobody remember this?
The answer is no, Brian. No one
Who could look back at that period and go, that was a winning period in wrestling history?
That time when that company went out of business.
Let's recreate it in 2007. I don't have answers for this.
This show is so bad.
So, I just don't even, I don't have it in me right now. So, this show sucks.
This show's broken you.
It has.
It's killed your spirit.
It has It is stolen my spirit.
See, but before this particular episode of the show, you would always climb up top the mountaintops in the rain and wind like last night, and then climb the rooftops and scream, "I hate TNA!" And now you just can't anymore.
I don't have it in me.
You know no one's listening, and nothing can be done, and you're tired of wasting your effort.
Junior Fat 2 did the worst promo of the year. He didn't know what the tournament was called, and he didn't know his opponent's name.
Correct.
Called him Rick Rude.
This is prefaced, by the way.
And this was not supposed to be comedy. He didn't know.
No, he did not know the name of the tournament or who he would be wrestling.
And nobody had the balls to go,
Rikishi, it's Robert Roode.
Can we do it again?
Yeah. They just let him do his thing and be done with it. This is prefaced by the blonde interviewer, whatever her name was, interviewing somebody from Major League Eating. Yeah. Apparently that's the new show that's following Spike, is watching people stuff their face for entertainment. So she asked, "What are you up to over there?" Now, I'm no expert, no matter what Brian will tell you, but I suspect the answer to this question is eating. Yeah. We're eating a lot of food.
Another angle, skit with his wife.
I lost track. Is it 7, 6? I don't know. They were back. The fucking Angles were back.
She was pushing him in the wheelchair, and then he tried to get Angle, and he got in his car and drove off.
I did write it down. It's 7.
There's Kevin. Hurry up. Hurry up. You push like a girl. Let's go.
I am a girl.
Ah, you suck. Jamie, take over. Ooh. Kevin. There he is. There he is. Kevin.
No.
Kevin. Stop. Kevin. Oh. Kevin. Hey, I'm sorry. Kevin, I'm sorry. I'll buy you porn.
Kurt wrote, scream, cripple in tow.
Yeah, Black Rain was there.
This was supposed to be funny. It wasn't. Disco versus Abyss. Abyss won. Hell of a return match. And then Black Rain ran in, followed by Abyss hitting a choke slam. Hell of a run-in.
This feud's on fire.
Then Jim Mitchell went after Abyss, failed. And Dustin hit him with the gimmick, handcuffed Abyss to the ropes, took out his mouse, put it in a bag, put the bag on Abyss's head. It sounds like animal abuse to me. And then took the bag off, and
they made a big dramatic show of this. They handcuffed Abyss to the ropes.
He put a mouse on him.
Yeah, they got an extreme close-up of Abyss's face. He was, wetting himself in terror. Terror! Abyss! The monster Abyss, the man who falls in glass and thumbtacks, was
scared of a mouse.
Petrified of this rodent. And they put it in the bag and put the bag on his head. I guess we were supposed to think perhaps the rat was eating his eyeballs. I think the rat was mostly just scared.
This was abuse for me, actually.
And then they took the bag off, and hey, everyone, Abyss is alive. No bite marks anywhere. He's fine. He just had a mouse next to his head.
Another Angle and his wife skit.
That's 8.
Angle promised to bring him porn.
And Kevin Nash left the show.
Joe versus Christian, fight for the right. I just give it up on the show. They did a match.
It was not nearly as good as their pay-per-view match.
The only good thing was Joe doing a sunset flip and a kiwi roll, which should have been the finish.
No, Ryan, that couldn't be the finish. They had to do a ref bump.
Yeah, ref took a bump. Everyone in the crowd just died. Joe hit the muscle buster, no ref. AJ ran in. Tomko ran in. Matt Morgan ran out. Beat up some guys. Joe
put him down.
Choke. Robert Roode hit the ring. Hit Joe with the chair. Christian got the parody booking pin. There you go.
So, yes, in a nutshell, Joe wins on the pay-per-view, and then it means nothing in the long run because Christian wins the match where something's actually on the line. Robert Roode, who had no issues with anyone, ran in after the 5th guy to run in and hit Joe with a chair for the pin. There were 3 matches in this tournament. None of them had a clean finish. None of them. 0.
And this surprises you why?
I just feel the need to state it. They couldn't shoehorn one clean finish in 3 matches. No. So I'm guessing that Christian is now going to take the place of Out in the tournament. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
He gets a bye.
He gets a bye or something. Just who could watch this show? None of the wrestling was that good, and when it was good, there was no finish. None of the backstage segments were awful. It was all just wretchedly. None of it made a damn thing look a sense. What is there about the show to enjoy?
I don't have any idea.
I don't get it. I don't understand. Who?
We ask this question every week. Stop asking it. There's no answer.
This show is getting... This was worse than usual. How did going to 2 hours make the show better?
You know what's funny is I talked to somebody in TNA about morale, and said it's worse than ever, actually.
You don't fucking say!
Yeah, because now they've got 2 hours, and they've got to fit everybody into that 2 hours, and girls, and Talia Madison.
And Kurt Angle 8 times!
And Kurt Angle 8 times. People are even more unhappy now than they were at 1 hour. Think about that.
At least my livelihood does not depend on this company, but fuck.
There you go, everybody.
Stop watching. Don't watch Impact. Please, I beg you, boycott the show. Not because you think it will get better. It will never get better, folks. This company is doomed. This show is doomed. It's cursed. And if you watch it, you are merely perpetuating the curse.
You know what? People always go, when are you going to write Death of TNA? TNA dies. I'm telling you right now, I ain't writing no book. I do not even want to dignify this company's existence with a book.
When TNA dies, I actually made this decision a long time ago. The day TNA dies, the next time we do a show, I'm going to print out the lyrics. I'm going to stand here before you, Brian. I'm going to sing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead," the song "The Wizard of Oz." I will stand before you like Dorothy Gale and the Munchkins, and I will sing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead," and celebrate the fact that TNA is gone.
And we will drink.
Whoa, they'll be drinking. I may smoke a cigar here in the room.
No, you won't.
I'll do it outside. That will be a day of victory. That will be the day...
Actually, hold on a second. I will just have a big celebration if they replace these fucking writers. That's what I'll do.
But they won't do that. What could possibly happen?
No, I think that if the rating actually got cut in half or something like that, they'd panic and they'd replace the writing crew.
If it gets cut in half, won't Panda pull the plug or something?
Nah. Well, they may, but
I
can't imagine. I seriously cannot imagine this company dying without at least one switch of the writing crew.
I can't imagine anything that could happen that this writing crew could do to get fired.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but something must happen. If they just replace this writing crew, there's something here.
There's a fucking lot here.
Yes.
There's some great wrestlers on the show. There's Jim Cornette there to book.
Assholes writing this show are the ones creating this doom.
Think about how bad this show is. Kurt Angle.
Just look at how great the pay-per-view was.
Yeah. That was done a week ago.
That was
5 days ago.
That shows you that there is something here. Ruined by these fucking writers. Ruined. God, this show was just shit. To the back! You know, every time we do a show, and I go on the board, and I hear Anchor going, "Good show, needed more songs," I just think I'm never playing a song on this show again.
I'm stunned you haven't just banned him for life.
No. Great show, just needed more songs. Tell me how to run my show, Anchor.
I like when he freaks out that we don't review SmackDown.
God.
He doesn't know whether he should watch it or not.
Just watch the fucking show, dude.
We do. We live.
Who cares what we think about it?
That's actually a great question.
Who cares? The only show that matters what we think about it is Impact. I don't care what the rest of you think about any of these shows, but Impact sucks.
It does.
But I want you all to stop watching it.
You've come to my side then.
No. I haven't. Your side is we should stop watching it.
That's part of it, yes. I also encourage others to stop.
No, the problem is, if we stop watching it, others may continue to do so. It is our job to watch this show, observe how awful it is, alert everyone else to not watch it, hope that the rating tanks, and that they replace the writing crew before they go out of business.
So you see ourselves, as our duty as something of a noble sacrifice.
Yes.
I see.
It is a noble sacrifice on our part. Because every time I watch this show, all I see are great wrestlers.
Absolutely.
And every time I watch this show, I write the same thing. Great match until the shitty finish. Can I stop writing that?
Yes.
Can we just have great fucking matches?
Oh, no.
This show that we watched, how many times have I said, this was the worst show I've ever seen?
I'm watching Impact regularly.
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anyone says. In fact, how many threads have I read, not so much lately, but in the past, mostly from people that ever actually read my newsletter or listened to my radio show, that said, all Bryan does is agree with Dave. Well, we disagree here on a very major issue. Dave does not seem to think that Impact is the worst wrestling show there's ever been in history. I can tell you without question it is.
No.
It is worse than Nitro. It is worse than Thunder. It is worse than the worst Nitro I've ever seen. It is worse than the worst Thunder I've ever seen. And it's this bad on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
This show, in its current form, needs to die.
That's without question true. Now, I need to clarify your argument. It's not that Dave thinks it's a good show. He just disagrees it's the worst show of all time.
Well, he went a lot longer before he realized it sucked than I did. I will say that. It wasn't...
See, I'm actually to the point... I'm farther along than you, where I knew it sucked a long time ago. I hated it and hated it forever. And now I'm kind of aware it sucks, but I don't... I just know that I just have to sit there and get through it, and in 90 minutes or 2 hours I'll be done and I can move on.
This show makes me too mad. I can't even do that.
That's where I was 2-3 months ago.
No, I can't, because this is the difference. You can accept misery in your life. I can't. I don't want to accept that I have to watch this shitty show every week. Do you understand? I want this show to get better.
Right.
I don't want to keep watching this shitty show and going, it's been an hour. There's only 1 hour left. Okay. I don't want to do that every week.
Here's another difference between you and me. You are, generally speaking, a man of hope. I am, generally speaking, a man of despair. This show will never get better, Bryan.
It will.
No.
There's two things that are going to happen. The show gets better or the show dies.
Right.
I guarantee that one or the other is going to happen.
And it will not be the first one.
It
will not be the first one.
No, because they've signed a 3-year deal.
Then it's going to be a shitty show for 3 years.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because there is no way that people can put up with the shit for 3 years. There's just no way.
They put up with it for 5 years.
No, they didn't.
You think Dixie Carter's going to wake up tomorrow and go, holy shit, this show sucks?
Just came back last November. It hasn't even been a full year yet.
I'll repeat that question then. You think Dixie Carter's going to wake up and say, holy crap, this show blows?
Okay, I say yes. Because they were doing 1.1s. They're now doing 0.98s. The rating is actually dropping. They've gone from an average of 1.5 million viewers to 1.3 million viewers.
That's a drop.
Soon they will get to 1 million viewers.
That's a 20% drop.
That's right. And then hopefully soon after that they will be below 1 million viewers. And finally someone's going to say, you know what? This ain't working. Like we've been saying week after week after week after week.
After wasted weeks.
This is not working. And thus, change will occur. And then, if nothing else, I will just have to watch a different Impact.
And it will have to be better.
It could not be worse. It could not possibly be worse.
I do agree with you on this point. This is the worst show of all time.
It is. This is the worst show I've ever seen. And this episode in particular filled me with great rage.
See, this goes back to where 2 or 3 months ago where I had to watch the show and I would have violent outbursts of physical violence because I could not contain my rage about what I was seeing.
But this is why this is different. I'll tell you why this is different.
Okay.
Because you would fly into a rage every week. It was always the same thing. But there was nothing new to outrage you. It was the same shit week after week which outraged you. Which you eventually accepted. Okay, that's fine, but you eventually accepted that. Me, the reason I get angry is because every week there's something new. Something so stupid that we've never seen it before. You know what I mean?
They're finding new and inventive ways to suck.
I can't even... It's like, again, I will say it, that life has to be a giant cosmic joke on me. Because I can't imagine that a show this bad could find a new way to be worse every single week. Yet it does. And this show is a perfect example. Last week I ranted and raved about their stupid fucking tournament. And the men who were eliminated because there was a run-in and they were out. And then in the very next match, there was a run-in, and those men were not disqualified and put out. Okay? That made me so angry.
Yes.
And really it probably shouldn't have, because I was just reliving the shitty Vince Russo tournaments from 1999. Shouldn't have been surprised. This show was new levels of shit, which I'm going to explain as we go into this show. You know, fuck that. I'm going to go into it right now. This is why I hated this show with a new passion for TNA. This was the Sting versus Angle 2 show. They had just had a pay-per-view match on Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, I guess.
10 days prior, 11 days or something.
And this was their rematch. Free television. With a week of build. They actually did something right. They didn't just throw it on TV immediately.
Sort of, right?
They built it up for a week.
They built it up for a week, which is a week more than they usually do.
So, they build up this match, and we get it at the top of the hour. So you knew something was going to happen. So what happens is, Sting and Angle are having another good match. Not as good as a pay-per-view, but pretty damn good. And I'm like, God damn, this is great. I'm going to be so mad when Kevin Nash comes out. Because obviously he's going to. Which, sure enough, he did. So he comes out, and there was a big schmoz at the finish. Nash was on the apron. He got knocked on his ass. The referee took a bump. Angle hit Sting with a move. Another referee ran in, counted the pin. 1, 2, 3. Angle, pin, Sting. They award the belt to Angle. He's the new champion. This causes Mike Tenay to flip his lid. Mike Tenay starts screaming and ranting and flipping out. They go to commercial and come back, and Jim Cornette's in the ring with 3 refs. I don't know where the third guy came from, but there's 3 refs now. They're all ranting and raving. And he announces that as of right now, Kurt Angle is the champion. He's going to go look at the tape and everything like that. As he's going to the back, Tenay gets in his face again and is screaming that this is wrong, there was interference, this cannot stand. Cornette tells him to shut the fuck up. Cornette goes to the back.
I can't believe that we had to sit out here for 4 minutes during the commercial break and watch this dog and pony show between Jim Cornette and these 3 referees. What's there to discuss? This is cut and dry. Sting should be the TNA World Champion.
Hold on! Hold on! Stop it! You're grown men. Act like it. You got one story. You got one story. I don't know what the hell's going on here. You're going to calm down. I'm going to take you in the back. I'm going to get your statement. I'm going to get your statement. And we're going to watch the videotape and figure out what happened. And then I'm going to make my decision after I've seen everything. Get out of here. Shane, you stay here. You referee the match. You come with me. What's the story here? You've got to be kidding me. That's ridiculous. This is absolutely crazy. Jim Cornette. What's there to review? What's there to look at? Mike, please. You need one thing. This is a big enough mess without you sticking your nose in. You sit down and do your job, and I'll do mine. I suggest you shut up. Mike, we've got to let cooler heads prevail. We got to just respect the fact that James Cornette is going to make the right decision.
In the middle of another match, a little later, Tenay goes crazy again about the Sting Angle match. He goes to the back to talk to Cornette about it, leaving Don West alone. Monumental error. Monumental error.
Unbelievable. You know, I don't appreciate being talked to like that by Jim Cornette. I've got an opinion. I know what I saw. You know, I've never done anything like this in all the years that I've been in broadcasting. But I know what I saw. I'm going to see Cornette.
Well, we're right in the middle of the match. We're right in the middle. All right, everybody. Mike Tenay upset, of course. What happened? Jim Cornette, the way he handled that. We're going to try to get to this match here.
He goes to the back, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, now that you all know that story, that Mike Tenay cannot handle interference in matches. There were 7 matches on this show. Guess how many of them involved interference leading to the finish?
I strongly suspect the answer is 7.
Wrong.
8?
The answer is actually 6. Because the women's match...
Oh, yes, there was Awesome Kong.
The women's match with Awesome Kong had a clean finish. Every other match on this show had interference leading to the finish. Did Mike Tenay give a flying fuck about the interference leading to the finish in the first match?
Why no?
The second match.
Don't think so.
The third match.
I believe not.
The fifth match.
Not a whit.
No. He only cared about the one match. Perhaps you'll argue, well, the title was on the line. Well, as we learned later, Nash never even interfered. He never even touched Sting. Sting attacked Nash. And he ended up being hit with the Angle slam and pin by Kurt Angle. TNA was so appalled by this. And meanwhile, every other match on the show had blatant interference.
Well, I would take it a step farther and think, when was the last time there was a TNA title change, any title, that did not have interference in it?
Let me read a quote from...
There was interference when Sting won the title.
Kurt Angle, who is the current TNA champion. Let me find it. All right. Here it is. We all sat down and said, quote, hey, no more run-ins. If you want me to win, I win. If you want me to lose, I lose. I think TNA is starting to get that. We're in an MMA world right now. It's not going to change. Who said that?
Was it Kurt Angle?
It was, in fact, Kurt Angle.
That's odd.
When did he say that?
I'm going to say 2002.
He said that in October of 2007.
Well, that's this month.
That is, in fact, this month. Why don't you get the prize? The reason this made me so mad was because, is it not the very basic, I mean, seriously, the rock bottom, absolute basics of booking? If your entire show is going to be built around a world title change that involves interference, that is going to cause great controversy and an announcer to flip out, would it not make sense that you would have all the other matches on that particular show have a clean finish?
That's probably a good idea, yeah.
Would that not be...
better?
Not even better. The only solution.
To have the finish, the controversial finishes stand out instead of being lost in a sea of controversial finishes?
Give me another solution. Give me one other solution that would be acceptable in this case, if that's what the show's going to be built around.
So it's built around controversy in the world title match.
Maybe just one other run-in?
That's not a DQ?
The answer is there is no other option. If we are supposed to care about interference in a match, I mean, this is like breaking an elementary physical law. You can't. There's nothing else you can do. There is literally no other solution. If we're supposed to care that there was interference in one match, the only fucking thing that makes any sense is for every other match to end clean. That's it.
That would help the show. I go back to the prior problem. They've established a 5-year track record of all title matches must have interference.
How? Vince, again, that's fine. But if you're going to do that, and we're supposed to care, then you can't have anything else happen on the show in the same fashion that nobody cares about.
You're not wrong. Don't misunderstand me. But I'm saying, had they done that, it still wouldn't have worked because we've seen interference in every title match they've ever done.
It would not have worked. But it would have worked better than this.
Yes, that is true.
Because at least in this one self-contained show, they tried to make it make sense. But no.
Or they would have tried to make sense.
They could not do that.
No, they could not be bothered. They had to do the usual show.
7 matches on a show, 6 had outside interference, and we're supposed to care about a single one of those. This is a new level of shit.
And to get...
How can people be employed in this business with so little clue? I don't understand. I really don't understand. How
I do not have an answer for that question. You're asking the wrong guy.
How can this be allowed? I
don't know what to tell you, dude. All I know, and this is getting slightly off topic, I've made the point about the track record of interference and title changes. I sat here and I thought, well, let's see. Let's see how far back I can go in the TNA title game and see the last time there was a title change. And it occurred to me, I have no idea how Kurt Angle won the TNA title. I remember there was a 4-way tag match with Joe and the Dudleys, but he went into that as a tag.
I remember that all I remember is that he won the title at a pay-per-view, and then he won it again at the next pay-per-view. So he was the first and second TNA champion.
That's right.
That's the only thing I remember. I don't know who was involved in really any of these matches.
Yeah. And you know what? It was like 3 months ago.
No, I had no idea.
I don't have a clue.
Now, here's the important thing, everybody. I'm sure there's some people listening to this that are going, well, Brian, I remember. I know who he won the title from, and I know how he won the title the second time. Okay, you're missing the key point here. Not only do I not know, I don't care.
That's also true.
That is the danger. That is the doom of TNA. That I don't care. And I ain't the only one.
Most people don't care. And the few who do care are apparently dropping off.
Approximately 1% of their viewers care about anything that TNA does, enough to pay for a pay-per-view. About 1%. That's how many people that TNA gets to care. And every single week, they book their television to make you not care.
They're trying to drive off that 1%.
I think they are. They may soon be at 0.5%. I wonder what the drop-off for... I think WCW actually had a lower percentage at the end, which baffles me, but I'd have to look it up. But this is just amazing television. And you know the worst part about it? There's a whole new generation of fans coming up, and there's 1.3 million of them watching TNA, and God forbid those people ever get in this business. And, this is what they grew up with, and this is what they think wrestling is.
I haven't thought of it that way. Yeah, it's been around a while. I can't imagine anyone watching this show would want to get into the business. But, yeah, they're going to go up thinking, I want to be a big star, like, I don't know, Abyss.
WWE, at least, is it's not designed to make you not care. There's just nothing really that you care about. There's a big difference between that.
Indeed.
If they hit on something that people start to care about, business will catch fire.
And they'll run with it.
Yeah.
They will not kill it. They will drive it on the ground.
TNA, on the other hand, how many things have fallen into their lap that people were interested in initially? And they've booked people out of caring about it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Every Angle, Sting, Christian, Joe.
All of it.
Remember how all 4 of them was a huge deal when they showed up?
Yeah. Booker T's going to TNA. I'm sure everybody knows by now. And that's actually pretty cool. Booker T is going to TNA. Won't be cool after day one.
No.
I guarantee within a month nobody's going to give 2 shits about poor Booker T. Because that's how they book. The booking is designed to make you not care. Yet, these bookers are still in charge. I don't even understand. I don't even understand.
Yeah, that's why it makes me... Oh, we talked about this already. I don't want to rehash it, but
every week there's something new.
And
I don't want to do a new rant every week on TNA, but they help me.
They force you to.
Every week they do something even dumber than they did the week before, and it just flabbergasts me. I have no explanation for it. This is the worst program ever.
Oh yes, that I agree with. I can not sit here and tell you this was the worst episode of Impact I ever saw, but Impact is certainly the worst TV show of all time.
So anyway, the big Kurt Angle Sting rematch, 0.98. Way to go, guys. Way to go. Hell of a job.
Why would anyone watch it? They should be happy with 0.98. That should be an achievement.
Well, they are, obviously.
Apparently they are.
Apparently they're happy having lost 200,000 viewers on average since moving to 2 hours. Thank God they got 2 hours.
Where would they be without 2 hours?
Higher!
That's right. They're back at 1.1. The promised land of 1.1.
God. I'm going to run down the show very quickly because I'm just filled with hatred. Another segment with Angle and his wife actually opened the show. Ran after Nash. Said they were best friends forever. Nash said he was looking forward to the match so that he could see Sting kick his ass. Is anyone stupid enough not to see where this was headed?
Don West.
Well, there you go. They said LAX was going to get a title shot against AJ and Tomko next week. So we got AJ and Tomko and BG James and Billy Gunn versus LAX and the Steiners. I had no idea who was a babyface and who was a heel. It took me 2 minutes to figure out the teams because there are none, and thus nobody gives a shit about anybody. So, broke down into a 9-way. 8-man tag, but there were 9 people because Roxy Laveau ran in. Ref was just watching her.
Ran in and voodoo spit in somebody's face.
Yeah, right in front of the ref. He didn't care. Then we had a mystery member of the Latino Nation run in. Gave Homicide a slapjack. He had B.G. James. Hernandez pinned him. Big win for the number 1 contenders.
It did help. Not just an illegal weapon, but it had to be smuggled in by an outside guy.
Match was fine until the bullshit.
It was kind of clusterfucky, but yes.
Singh in an interview, passionately saying he was going to tear Angle apart. Talked about Angle and his child and all that. They cut backstage and Karen was bitching at Angle about how he's insane to be facing this man tonight. And
They were fighting.
Singh, tonight you're going to be defending the TNA World title against Kurt Angle. Do you have any last thoughts before you get into the ring?
First of all, I want to say this has nothing to do with the title. What else can be said that hasn't already been said? Kurt, the bottom line is you put your hands on my son, Garrett. My own flesh and blood. And Kurt, I know that you're watching this right now. So I want you to get up. And I want you to look at the screen real close and look into my eyes, Kurt. I'm going to ask you a question. What would you have done, Kurt? Think about this. If somebody put their hands on one of your children, Kurt, even just one of them, you getting a good picture? Is it graphic for you? You getting the idea? I'm striking a chord, aren't I, Kurt? I know what you would have done. You'd have torn the person apart, limb by limb. I'm glad you got that picture now. Because that's exactly what I'm going to do to you tonight, again.
And you're going to get in the ring with that. You're going to get in the ring with that. That is not a mad wrestler, Kurt. That is a pissed off parent. That right there is worse than the thing that Kevin told you about. And what did you do? Oh, what did Kurt Angle do? You went and you pissed Kevin off too. Now what are we going to do? What's your next move, Kurt? What are we going to do? Huh? This is awful.
Will you let me think?
Oh.
What's the next
Worse
move?
and worse.
Whoa. It's not my move. It's your move.
What?
Yeah, that's right, Mrs. Robinson. You're going to go to Kevin's locker room and you're going to seduce him.
Oh, my.
You see, money and sex are the only 2 things that Kevin understands. And I'm not about to part with a penny.
I cannot even believe you are suggesting that I do this right now.
Oh, give me a break, Miss Innocent. Just do that thing you do when you want to get nasty with me. You know, you're like, oh, baby, spank me here, spank me there, give it to me. Oh, just amp it up like 50 times.
50 times?
Yeah.
Look at me, Kurt. 50 times, amp it up. What are you going to do if he bites? Then what?
If he bites, he bites. It's one time.
Oh, my God.
I know it's an indecent proposal, but you know what? In the end, all wounds will heal. I'll get over it.
Oh, you'll get over it? Oh, I'm so glad you'll get over it.
Karen, listen. If you don't do this, okay, if I don't get my title back, your money gets cut in half. Now, what are you going to do?
I hate you.
Was it wrong for me to ask you to do that?
I don't think Kevin's going to mind personally, you know.
Well, that's all that matters.
So, Kurt said it was Karen's fault, told her to go seduce Kevin, and then she said she was his wife. He said, well, it's just one time. And then he said, if I don't get my title back tonight, your money gets cut in half.
Yes?
Why?
Apparently she has no income, and apparently 50% of his income is based on being champion.
Since when?
Since he said so right there.
I watch this show, and it's like they're writing the show, and they write themselves into a corner, and they make shit up.
Oh, yeah, just figure this out? Yes, this show is in fact made up as they go along.
This is not... Oh, God damn it.
This show, clearly, they write a draft, and they go with it. There is no revision. There is no editing. There is no
stuff like this means they write a draft, and they realize, shit, why would she do this? Let's make something up. That's horrible writing. That's bad writing.
All I know is they said at one point, Karen said, a pissed-off parent is worse than a mad wrestler. Because Angle beat up Sting's kid, and so now Sting is more dangerous than just a mad wrestler. I see my parents pretty pissed off a lot of times. I think I'll go through that again before, for example, Scott Steiner. Something like that. Maybe I'm in the minority.
Eric Young and James Storm. Today was talking about the importance of this match, and it deserved a highlight spot on the show. The highlight spot was 9:30 p.m.
See, I thought they were talking about the main event when they said that. They were talking about Angle and Sting.
Okay, so 10 o'clock
p.m.?
p.m.?
Yeah, that's even worse. The main event is not the highlight spot anymore.
Whatever they were talking about made no sense either way. So, they had a tournament match.
It's actually a really good match.
Jackie interfered.
Of course.
Storm accidentally hit her with a clothesline. Young went to check on her. Storm hit him with a super kick for the pin. And, I want to say this about this interference, though. I hate interference, and it's to the point on this show where it means absolutely nothing. But if this had been the only interference on the show, this was a great heel win by James Storm. His girl got knocked down. The babyface went to check on her. He didn't give a shit. And he super kicked the guy and pinned him. And it led to the finish. That is good stuff right there.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, this was one of 6 fuck finishes on a 7-match show.
And worse yet, immediately after the win, what did James Storm and Jackie do? They began to fight.
They did have a fight.
Because everyone in TNA must hate the person they're teaming with.
Jackie wanted
drives me insane.
Give Eric a beer, but Storm stopped her and dragged her away and yelled at her. And then she talked him into giving him the beer, and that was just strange.
That was just an odd moment. And Eric was happy. He had a beer. He got beat up at the end of the tournament, but hey, free beer.
Sure. Karen tried to seduce Nash.
Yes, the angles were back.
Yeah, hell of a seductress, I might add. And he was going to go for it, but then dropped her on the couch and told her to get the hell out. And she left, and then Nash told Borash she was only human, but a cold shower could take care of that problem. Ha ha! Yeah.
Big joke.
Tenay interviewed Team 3D about why they wanted to take out the X Division. Bubba said because it was lame. They were little boys. Tenay wanted to know why Shelley and Sabin personally. Bubba said because they distracted them at Bound for Glory and cost them the titles. Again, we're supposed to care about a fuck finish, or he's supposed to care about a fuck finish, when there's a fuck finish in every match.
I also like that he said at one point, we're going to take out everybody until we get our titles back. So apparently taking out these non-champions is supposed to magically put the belts back around their waist.
Bad writing.
I don't know how that works. I will say this, though, a positive thing for TNA. As Bubba Ray Dudley was talking about how the Motor City Machine Guns had interfered with their match and cost them the match against the Steiners, they showed a replay. They said, look, fans, this is what we are talking about.
Wow.
This is what happened. This is why this character is so angry. So, yes, a rare and cherished thumbs up for TNA.
P. Williams, Shark Boy, Havoc, Sanjay Dutt in a 4-way. Sharky still in neck brace, which tells you how tough pro wrestling is. It's fake, you see. You can wrestle in it with a neck brace on. 90 seconds of the match, interference. Dudley's ran in. This time it was actually a DQ in TNA, I guess. I don't know what happened. The match just ended. They beat them all up for way too long. This was one of the examples where they have 2 hours now. So what should have been a 30-second beating was like 2 minutes long.
For those of you who suspected maybe this is going to lead to Team 3D putting the machine guns over, they came out here and the two heels beat up 4 baby faces.
Yes.
Failure.
Robert Roode cut a promo talking about the Fight for the Right tournament and how Junior Fat 2 was an asshole for not knowing his name. And he said, my name's Robert Roode, and I'm the guy that's going to beat your ass tonight. This was the best thing on the show up to this point.
By a mile.
By millions of miles.
The only thing I don't like is that Borash asked him why he hit Joe with a chair last week, and he said it was for business. And then just moved on. Never explained it, because no segment in TNA can ever be just good. There always has to be something that doesn't make any sense.
So we talked about Sting Angle 2. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Whole TNA deal came down, and then we had Awesome Kong and Angel Williams, the only match on the show with a clean finish. Angel Williams lost to the sit-out powerbomb. Awesome Kong won.
She's still great.
Yeah, this was good. Then Don West was screaming about Black Rain and Abyss and the Mouse, and then he was screaming louder about how we had to go to the back, and Rain was beating up Abyss. And there was never 1 second where Don West was not speaking during this segment. Not 1 second. Like, if Abyss would have been hit with an axe, Don West would have had to scream, he got hit with an axe. We couldn't just watch him get hit with the axe. He had to tell us every single solitary thing that happened.
Indeed.
Very much like your TV reports I've come to learn.
Yeah.
As you explained Monday night. Sometimes it's okay to Just be quiet for a second.
Just step off the gas for a bit.
Don West talked and talked and talked. The only good thing about this was I laughed thinking about it because it's so dumb. Black Rain put Abyss's head between a vice. I don't know what a vice was doing backstage.
Well, okay, you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit here. They were showing an Abyss Black Rain video. In the middle of this video, Don West screamed to the back, where there was Abyss and Black Rain fighting. So yes, they interrupted their own promo package. So they're back there, as Don West says, in Black Rain's, and I quote, workshop.
Yeah.
So apparently Dustin Rhodes went to TNA, signed his contract, walked around the studio for a bit, found an empty area, and started putting tools everywhere.
A vice!
Including a vice. Now, this made me laugh. I give this a thumbs up to TNA. I don't care what anyone else thought. When Black Rain had the vice open and pushed Abyss's head into it and manually tightened it so his head could not move, I cackled and howled. That was great. So now, he didn't just keep squeezing to crush his head. No, Abyss, actually, I take it back. Abyss did scream. He went, ah! And then stopped screaming because he was just trapped. So he's trapped. His head's pinned in the vice. He can't move. His eyes are moving all over the screen. Black Rain goes and he retrieves the rodent. He goes and gets the mouse. He gets the mouse and he puts it on the top of Abyss's head. And the mouse proceeds to sit there. It's just there, being a mouse on his head.
I can't even laugh with my bad eye. It just closes up and my whole face scrunches up. But this was the funniest thing I've ever seen. He put his head in a vice. Like he's when he's not wrestling, he's building fences. He's got a workshop in the back, and they put a mouse on him. Why should we care?
Why is Abyss scared? Why is he in? Well, he's in moderate pain, but
there's a mouse on him.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, you get mouse pee on you. Take a shower.
So backstage, we had Cornette, Tenay, Nash, referees, blah blah blah. Nash demanded a match with Angle, and I guess Cornette said you think about it.
I literally have no idea what happened to this segment. I watched it and I paid attention, and when it was done, I said, I don't know where that was.
Junior Fatu and Robert Roode, another tournament match. Christian came out to do commentary. Fatu made a big comeback, ran wild. Got really blown up and was just dropping to a knee and putting his arm on Roode for the covers. And Roode, we ended up having a ref bump.
Yes.
So the ref fell down. Tracy was cackling. Roode grabbed a chair from her. She refused, so Roode threw her onto the ground. As he was going back in the ring, Joe ran down, waffled Roode with a chair. So there's your fuck finish. And then Fatu got the pin. Mike Tenay wasn't angry.
No. This interference is okay. This interference in a tournament for a world title shot is okay.
Both of them.
Yes. Both of them. That's fine. Something when the championship itself is on the line and Mike Tenay gets upset. I'd also like to point out that when Robert Roode went to get the chair, Miss Brooks would not give it to him. Why? Because they're fighting. They're fighting.
I'm trying to think. Why? I don't know. Shouldn't Tenay have been angry about the interference at the pay-per-view in the Angle Sting match?
He should be angry at every show TNA has done since 2002.
So they cut backstage and Nash was screeching off in his car, or Angle was screeching off in his car. Kevin was lumbering after him, and Karen had been abandoned. So there you go. Now Cornette was storming to the ring with Tenay and explained the title thing, said Sting was the aggressor and the interference, Kurt Angle was the champion, lots of boos. Cornette said, listen, the title will be on the line at Genesis. It is Nash and Angle versus Sting, and before he could say who it was going to be, Sting appeared in the ring, said he would choose his own partner. Cornette said fine, and then added, whoever in the tag match scores the pin or submission is the new champion.
Woo!
The belt is up for grabs in a tag team match.
Kevin Nash pinned Sting. He's the world champ.
And then, sadly, the show ended because I wanted Cornette making rulings on the other 7 matches on the show that had interference. If
you're going to have 4 people in a world title match, why not just do a 4-way? Why bother with even making a tag match? What's the point?
Because they did that in WCW with David Arquette. Duh. It was something that they did in 1999. That's why.
Everyone, you can't hear that. I just gave Brian the bird. Should not take it. Well, that's
why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at, I'm mad at you for explaining that like it's a valid reason. It's not a valid reason. It's a horrible reason. It was a horrible idea then. It's a horrible idea now.
What's a valid reason?
There isn't one. It's a horrible idea for a match.
Okay, but I'm telling you the reason. Because it was something that happened in 1999. To them, that's valid.
Well, fuck them.
Yes.
Fuck them.
Look at everything on this show, Vince. Everything on this show is from 1999.
What a year that was, by the way.
Sting, Fatu, all this shit. Stupid fuck finishes, shitty tournaments, Nash. It's all 1999.
NWO references.
Which was the year that WCW began to die. That's right, NWO's back. The show blows.
I beseech you all, stop watching.